All right, go.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams yesterday set tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
All right, you're going back. You're going to standing. Okay. All right. Are you intimidating me? Because you're trying
Phone's it's about to die. So I had to
All right. You know what? I got a standing desk too, Jace. I can stand up too. Think you're cool? Yeah, think I can't do a stream
Let's go.
standing up, Jace?
Hey, what's going on? It's your man Julito McCullum from HBO's The Wire. Some people say it's the greatest TV show ever, but you are watching Fireside Chats with the homie Big Chief Burrito.
Hi, I'm Nick Mangold, 7-time Pro Bowler, and you are listening to Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito.
I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you very much for coming on the show today. The best of luck.
Fireside Chats.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Tuesday. Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito, part of the 2 a.m. Burrito Podcast Network. Find us anywhere you listen to your podcast by searching for 2 a.m. Burrito. Hope everybody's doing good. Live from beautiful Chula Vista, California, the South Bay of San Diego. And today we're going to be talking to a friend of mine that I've known for several years. Met him through, a lot of people that we meet in San Diego through Comic-Con. He was a featured Comic-Con artist a few years back. Pandemic hits. All of a sudden we have a abridged Comic-Con this past year, last year. But he is a prominent comic book artist here in the city. His Black Comix Day is coming up this weekend, and I wanted to talk to him about it, talk about a little bit of what happened at Con, a couple of other issues. We might mix in some hip-hop and basketball talk as well in there, So want to welcome on the homie Keithan Jones. What's up, sir?
What's up, bro? What's going on, bro?
Good to see that we are both here and healthy-ish.
Right. Survivors.
Survivors, and just to not make you feel too old, I didn't shave. I didn't do my fade so I could see some of the grays in my side here, just so you wouldn't feel like you were on the only old head on the
It's
pod.
over, bro. It's over. The gray is here.
The gray is here to stay, man. I think I was looking at my goatee the other day. It's like half of it was white, and I was like, man, that is a cold world.
I'm just like, okay, well, at least let it be even.
Yeah,
what's the word? Symmetrical or whatever.
Whatever. You need that. What is that? Touch of gray.
Right. That was
Which is
Connery on.
what was the joke about touch of gray? It was a great way to market hair dye that doesn't really work that well because it only works a little bit.
Right.
It works, but it doesn't do all your hair. Let's just call it a touch of gray.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to fucking. All right. Anyway, so Kid Comics, featured artist in Comic Con last year. Then the pandemic hits. So I mean, obviously that's a huge accomplishment for an artist. I mean, it's something that I'm sure you had thought about or that So how does the change in that and then the abridged full year with no Comic Con and then the abridged version? How does that sort of affect you? How do you deal with that? Obviously,
With the break there.
yeah, with the break there and just kind of having that sort of like having Comic Con was going to be such a huge thing, and then all of a sudden it gets knocked down. Like, I mean, obviously everybody had to deal with stuff, but particularly as it relates to that, how did you sort of come to grips with it, or just kind of brush it aside, or what?
Unfortunately, I've I feel like I've been dealing with like setbacks virtually my entire career, like something that you anticipate to go well and smoothly and it's going to propel you to the next level. Here comes the monkey wrench, whether it's I don't know, it's felt like another obstacle that I had to overcome on my rise to success as far as my endeavors. So with COVID, I was fully prepared and able to deal with it probably better than most people because I'm just used to dealing with less, or making less work. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I felt kind of built for it. It sucked, but at the same time, it gave me some clarity, gave me time to sit there and really figure out some things about my career, myself, and what I want to do with myself, career wise and life wise. I say there's two people right now as far as COVID is, are this whole COVID ordeal. The two people came out of it. People who either folded because of it, or people who took advantage of it and strived. I think that we saw two personalities develop from this whole 2-year ordeal. And I like to think that I was one of the people who was able to take advantage of it and persevere and use it to my advantage. So as far as Black Comix Day, it was just a matter of hoping that everyone remembered it and they would just get back on board once I got the machine going again. And it's looking like it's looking good so far. Look, that seems to be the case that people are still excited for it. And, fingers crossed, God willing, we'll have a great show.
And that is the Black Comix Day 2022 Heroes Rise number 4, 19th and 20 from 10 to 6 p.m. World Beat Center, San Diego in Balboa Park. A free event.
Yep.
So, like, how could you get out in the sun, go to the park, where World Beats? There's plenty of parking either right there on the street, or there's like a couple of major parks directly across the street. There's also 2 major parking lots up there. Yep. Or if you're walking around the park, you can get there pretty easily. The World
and if you're from out of town, literally right up the couple of blocks north of it is the famous San Diego Zoo, if you want to do the zoo thing. And then behind it is the actual main Balboa Park where we keep our historical museums and all that jazz. And I don't know if it'll be open, but we have the San Diego Comic-Con Museum as well now. That's a new feature to Balboa Park. And they'll have they usually have some kind of something going on over there. Sometimes a virtual experience of some type. Probably to do with Batman. Because Batman's everywhere.
Every 5 to 7 years we get a new Batman, right?
Man, he's like evergreen, man. You can't get rid of Batman.
You cannot. It's the rich, it's the billionaire, and yet we have billionaires, but no billionaire has decided to become Batman yet.
Right. And
They're all-
Batman, Batman needs help anyway because he stays angry. Like, bro, you're not over this yet.
and we all. What are you? Do you think we're gonna get the origin story again in this one?
They'll probably touch on it.
I mean, do we
They
have to
always
see?
touch on it because they just have, they just. I think you kind of have to give a little explanation to what makes them tick.
Mm.
Because not even though we've seen it a million times, there's still a lot of folks out there who just don't give a rip about Batman.
We got to see
But
Martha die.
maybe they like the actor that's in it this time around, and so they go in kind of green. So wait, why is he wearing a mask?
Oh. Who's he trying to protect? Did I just
Who's he
parents
trying
dead?
to protect, and why?
Well, how did
If I were
Wayne?
rich,
How did the Waynes? Is there because I was rewatching The Dark Knight about a week or so back. Is there any superhero movie that ever got it as right as The Dark Knight since then? Obviously, there's dozens of Marvel movies and DC movies to choose from, but for me, like, it still stands at the pinnacle of an attempt of bringing a realism to a superhero film. I mean, maybe it's because the superheroes are eccentric, are just they're not. They're nobody in Batman has powers other than money or being crazy. If you count that as a power, but has there been a film in your opinion that has come close to it, The Dark Knight,
for Batman,
for Batman, or just in terms of just humanizing a comic book character?
when you said humanizing a character,
Well, I mean, I
you're
think
trying to. Are you saying as far as making it realistic as possible, or are you saying stay close to the source material?
no, I don't think I'm talking about the source material. I'm talking about a superhero film that feels believable and sort of that could actually happen in real life. Because I don't think it's fair to compare it with like
I
an
honestly
Avengers.
think Batman is the farthest thing from real. I mean, I
Really?
think Batman wouldn't last one night in the real world, in the crime world.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But that's the
Criminal.
fun part of it because we escape into. He's doing stuff that we wish we could do with our frustration with maybe the criminal element or
Okay.
bullies. But in the real world, that you know, with unless you're a complete, unless you actually go out there and kill folks, you're not going to be beating up 5 dudes. You just, you know what I mean? I don't care what kind of martial arts skills you have. Like, enough dudes are going to take you down. That's just the reality of it, especially if they have guns. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I
it's,
guess maybe I'm phrasing it wrong. I guess maybe I just okay. Let's just. I basically think The Dark Knight's probably the best superhero. It's best. I think it's the best Batman movie, and
but
I
as far
definitely think.
as I know what you're saying. It depends on what your taste for comic book material is. So, if you want something more whimsical and more comic booky, so to speak, you want to go with the first Michael Keaton Batman. If you want something more hard, more crime, more Scorsese-esque, as far as crime stories and detective stories, you want to go with the Dark Knight. Do you prefer Jack Nicholson's Joker or Heath Ledger's Joker? Because they're both excellent, except the flavor is different. It depends on the taste, your taste personally. Now, me personally, I thought Dark Knight was an extraordinary film. Especially when I first saw it, it left something with me when I walked out the theater. I'm not sure if I could put my finger on it, but I just thought that the way it was constructed, it, it was really engaging. Like I remember when it got to maybe when right after the Joker escaped from jail, and he was driving around in a police car through the city and whatever. At that point in the film, I was totally enthralled. Like I was like, man, this is different. You know, this is, and I think everyone was. I think that film was like that's the film that let everyone know that comics are deeper than capes and than the stereotypes of what a comic book is. It can be real art. It can be in just as engaging as a Godfather film, for instance. You know, and I
Absolutely.
still think there's room to grow in that respect. You know, Dark Knight was just it was great, but I mean, this one with what's the new guy?
Pattinson, Robert.
Robert Patterson. It could take it even further than what the Dark Knight did in that lane of real so-called realism and dark dark storytelling.
I'm
Um,
excited to see it. I'm excited to see it. Part
I
of the
am
reason
too.
I
I am too.
Part of the reason I was asking is I saw a sort of a video breakdown of the Dark Knight in terms of, and they were actually comparing it to like Marvel movies in terms of like the cliche in hero movies is the villain says something like, "You're not so different, you and I," But they it's something that gets said a lot but doesn't really get executed well. And the scene that they were really talking about is the scene where Batman is chasing him in the motorcycle, and the Joker is sitting there, and he's saying, "Come on, I want you to hit me. I want you to hit me."
Mhm.
And Joker's not really he's not about making money, about power. He just knows that Batman is uncorruptible, and his line in the sand is he won't kill anybody. So if he can get Batman to kill him, he wins. And they really break down how the movie is really about how opposite they are. How Batman believes there's good in everybody, and how the Joker believes everybody can be corrupted, and he's winning because he corrupts Harvey Dent and all this other stuff. But in that moment, it's the clearest example of that them crash. They're literally their personalities clashing into each other. The Joker just and I hadn't really thought about that, but because I was like, you can just say the Joker's fucking crazy. He's like, I want you to hit me. He's like
Right.
playing chicken with a fucking guy with a motorcycle,
Right.
but he actually wants him to hit him because that means that he's right. If he can get Batman to kill him, and then the thing with the boat and the prisoners and
Yeah,
everything.
there's a
So
thin line between the two characters.
yeah,
Because Batman's his tactics are. I mean, he's judge. What is it? Judge, jury, and executioner in a sense. He's
there's no due process.
right. There's no due process, and he's not always right. His what he envisions is lofty, and he's trying to rid the city of crime and all that. But also, his viewpoints are myopic because not everyone that's out there committing crimes are. Not all crimes are the same. Technically they're against the law, but people's motivations are different. Some people are committing crimes because they're hungry. Some people are committing crimes because they have mental issues. Some people are committing crimes because they're greedy. Then you have crimes of passion. People who I don't know, they were scorned by a loved one and they just lost their mind and snapped or whatever. But usually the way Batman's written, those characters aren't those criminals that he's pursuing aren't. A lot of times they're not. Their motivations aren't explained, or they're not full characters. They're just punching bags for Batman. But and I think Joker kind of represents what I'm saying in that respect. Like, hey man, you don't get it all together either, bro. And some of these folks you're jumping on aren't the people you think they are. Maybe you're the bad guy. Who? What do you really? What do you? Who are you really representing by doing what you're doing? Are you winning this war? Is it even worth it? Is what some people think mankind is not redeemable.
Some
It's
people
just
just want to watch the world
you
burn.
just want to watch the world burn.
Were you a Batman or like a Superman kid growing up, or what was your first big
Superman.
Superman?
Yeah, if I had to choose, Superman. But I wasn't really a big fan of Superman the comic. I was a big fan of Christopher Reeve's version, which is obviously based on the comic, but I just felt like to this day, I felt like the way that film was constructed and the way he portrayed that character was spot on because it was inspiring, especially being young, being a kid. You know, he made you want to throw a blanket over your shoulder, over your back, and pretend you're flying. And just I just like I like this optimism because that's me personally. Like my I don't try to be. That's just my personality. Like I just um I'm not like a Punisher guy, for instance. I'm not with that dude. Like
Hmm.
I prefer someone like Superman or Spider Man.
What is the bit from I think it was Kill Bill where he says, Superman is the only hero whose costume is his alter ego. He
Right,
was born and he came to this world as Superman. His costume is Clark Kent, right?
right.
So I always thought that was an interesting bit. Um,
But he's not a. But he's an immigrant, so he's not. You know, and I don't want to get too off into this, but one of the problems I had with Man of Steel or Zack Snyder Superman was that the way he had him behaving was like he really was an alien. And I'm like, Clark Kent's an alien technically, but he
yeah,
grew up in Kansas, so he should exhibit those traits. Like he was when I watched the Man of Steel, it seemed like,
like he had just gotten there a year ago.
yeah, he just like, dude, stop acting weird.
He's not Faz from the '70s show. He's been there since he was a baby.
Right, right. So it didn't make any sense to me. Like letting your father die because of a hurricane because he
Yeah.
told you to.
Yeah, Crystal Hubbard, who was
Didn't make any
on,
sense.
she's always said that's the biggest betrayal of the character.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the key. That was in that at that point of the film. That's where you really show that with all the power in the world, you can't fix everything. So if you instead of the tornado, it should have been like the original film, a heart attack, a cancer, something that Superman just has no control over. You know what I mean?
absolutely. I did want to, so I wanted to do a couple of bracket bits, but I did, since we're sort of on the topic of it, I did want to ask you, and somebody had written an explanation. Urias, Jason Wise had written sort of an explanation about this topic that I found really interesting because for a while, and I think I'm looking at this from a cinematic standpoint, whenever there was a conversation and it was like who should be the next James Bond,
Hmm.
I always said Idris Elba.
Hmm.
Idris Elba was the man in The Wire. He's an incredible actor. He's British, and I always said Idris Elba should be James Bond if oh boy retires. And I thought about that from a cinematic standpoint, from an acting standpoint, from a and even from, I don't want to say from a wokish standpoint, but it was like, yeah, why couldn't they make James Bond black? You know, and now Michael B. Jordan has a project with a black Superman, and so there's this conversation about, is it the same to promote a black superhero that was originally African American or black, or is it the same thing to just turn a character and then turn him black, all of a sudden say a character is LGBTQ, all of a sudden a character is this sort of, as opposed to promoting. And the post that he made, and really opened my eyes, was that yes, and people are saying, why can't it be both? Why, what's the difference? And his analogy of always wearing your older brother's clothes like a year or two after they,
Oh, I think I saw that post.
yeah, it was basically, he was equating it to saying, oh, always having to wear somebody else's clothes that were handed down to you is different than going to the store and getting your own fresh fit for yourself.
Right.
So if you've always, even if it's fancy clothes that they wore and they're just handing it down to you, it's
I
still
think
somebody else's clothes.
what Reyes was really getting at, I'm pretty sure what he was really trying to say is that it's just another case of needing affirmation from white America. You know, instead of and worrying about proving a point by fitting into what they have established as the pinnacle of creativity. Instead of creating an original character and black folks lauding an original character and supporting that, there's still a contingent of us who are chasing after hand-me-downs, as he quote unquote hand-me-downs. You know, it's like, is it really necessary to have Idris as James Bond? I mean, why? The question is why?
Mhm.
Why? Why do we need to see a black James Bond? It's what are we saying with this? What's so important about it? You know. But then there's the flip side: is there's nothing wrong with it if he is playing a because it's a role that he can perform and perform well. But what is the motivation of doing it? I think it's the point of contention.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And how does that affect going forward? How does that affect black actors and actresses and writers and black artists as far as when they're trying to push originality and push original black characters that are going to be not just an experiment, so to speak, or the flavor of the month. Like, when do we start really getting behind stuff that can be generational? Because Superman, Batman, Bond, this stuff has been around for decades, you know, and it's not really what are we bringing to the table by making him black? I mean, so much ground has already been covered, other than the physical. It's a black man now playing it, but has the character, or what are we bringing new to the character? That because you cannot, because if you change the character too much, it's not James Bond anymore. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're not watching a James Bond film anymore. It's like it's like Star Wars. The difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. You know, if you have too much if you take Star Trek and you got a bunch of space battles in it without the philosophy and without the what am I trying to say? Without the actual science fiction, the hardcore science fiction. If you take all that out and try to make it like more like Star Wars, then it's not Star Trek anymore.
Mhm.
What made it loses it loses its identity of what it is. I think there's a debate going on now with the new Lord of the Rings series, right? Like, people are chipping over
There's no Puerto Ricans in Middle Earth.
they're tripping over a black. What is it? A black.
A black elf or like
Dwarf?
a
Yeah,
brown.
dwarf, like,
Well, yeah,
yeah. First of
yeah.
all, I don't really give a f about it anyway. But
I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't go. That doesn't go both ways, though. Just because you say we're going to make certain characters black, or we're going to cast a black actor to play this traditionally white character, is not the same as. I mean, you can't just say that and then Elvis and then say, well, no, James Bond has always been white. The elves, there was no black people in Middle Earth. Like, this is, they didn't. He didn't. Tolkien didn't write it. Well, maybe he should have, or it's guess what? That dude's been dead for a while, and we're Amazon, and we're making a different
yeah,
series,
I
and we're
think they're
making it.
really reaching on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of
I don't.
reaching on, like,
You wish it was a conversation that was over with, but it's still happening. And I guess my point on it was that
it's like they're yeah, it doesn't work in every, like, some people post dumb stuff like, well, what if you made Black Panther a white guy? It's called Black Panther
yeah,
in an African country, and and it's literally tied it's literally tied to a race. As far as what you're seeing, as far as the culture and why
he's,
they you can't make him white. It doesn't, because it's a culturally based character
he's from Wakanda in
from
Africa.
Wakanda, and we know, well, Wakanda's not real. Well, neither is freaking Middle Earth or whatever. But
Yeah,
you
you'd have to
know,
change. You'd have to change the name right there, Black Panther.
but if
Come
it's
on.
based on yeah,
All right.
it's like, not, this argument just doesn't work for everything. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like, if it's a character based on a specific culture or demographic, then yes, obviously changing ethnicity wouldn't make any damn sense. You know.
oops. Which leads us to I did want to talk to you. Obviously, we're here with Keithan Jones, Kid Comics. Make sure you guys head over to, if you're listening on the pod this week, and look for Black Comix Day 2020. And it's happening at Balboa Park this weekend, coming up February 19th and 20th at the World Beat Center from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It is a free event. How many artists are you going to have there, Keithan?
A little,
It looks like many.
at least 22 to 25.
22 to 25 artists. It's like a little mini Afro infused Comic
It's like
Con.
Comic Con folk, but it's a Black Comic Con basically. As far as the guest and the theme of it all, it's for Black History Month, so it's a chance for folks to see without having to go search for them high and low. It's a concentrated, focused effort to have Black creators and comics in one spot, easily accessible. It's free. You go in there, you see the stuff that the comics they've made, the art they've made, the stories they've written, and the merchandise, the books, all of that's going to be there, and it's all based on their viewpoint and on a professional level, because some of these guys work for Marvel, some of these guys work for DC, they work for Image, some of these guys have movies being produced, so on and so forth. So it isn't a bunch of nobodies. These guys are really working in the industry and making moves, and this is your chance to catch them on a ground level before they're out of reach. So I suggest folks who are into this stuff to patronize them, to go down there and
Well, spend the
meet them.
yeah, anything like this at all. Comic Con is charging you $60-$70 a day. So instead of that, spend that money on some independent comics, and like you said, take a look at some of the rising Black artists. As more and more content gets created and more streams of content become more avenue, these are going to be the people and the creators that are going to be creating the next superheroes that you're going to see on Netflix, Amazon, and on the big screen. And present company included. So everybody go ahead, check out Black Comix Day 2022 Heroes Rise this February 19th and 20, 10 a.m., 6 p.m. Free event, World Beat Center. Obviously, World Beat Center, Makeda Dread, also another legend for her involvement in reggae movement and in the World Beat Center in San Diego as well. Can you tell me a little bit just kind of about the importance of having it at that location?
First of all, Makeda approached me to have it there. Originally, the show was at Malcolm X Library, and the show was growing quickly. And I knew, like, at some point we were not going to be able to fit the show into this library here. And she was right on time. She was really excited about what I had done up to that point back in 2018, 2019. And she urged me to bring it to World Beat Center, which is in a prime location, a tourist location of San Diego. And plus the way the place is decked out is super Afrocentric, but it's also a representation of other countries around the world. And she's always holding different events every week. There's something going on there. And this is just another one of those events. And I'm happy to be there. She made it easy for me. Not a lot of red tape I had to go through to set up shop. And this will be the second time that we've done it there. Because of COVID, put us on pause for a year or two. Yeah, she's wonderful. Super experienced with, like you said, not only just putting on shows, but coming from what is it, 91X. She used to run the reggae hour or a couple hours there on the radio there, and she became a bit of a
Reggae Mikasi. What was the name of that show back in the day? Reggae something.
Reggae, yeah.
Yeah, she's an icon in the community. I also found this picture right now. We had our screening of the movie that me and Chris made, Blacklisted. We had we did our screening there. She was nice and yeah. What's up?
When was that?
This was like 2015.
Oh,
This
okay.
was we screened this a long time ago, but we did do our premiere screening there. Um, when we last had you on, I've done this bit that I do with a bunch of other people, but for some reason I don't know what it was, if we ran out of time or if I didn't have one prepared for you. But I wanted to fix an egregious error, which is that we never did a bracket bit with you, Keithan. So with that being said, we're gonna do one now. Then we're gonna talk a little bit more about the project, and then we're gonna do another fun one at the end. But we are doing the first of two bracket bits.
All right, boys and girls, you know what that sound means. It's time for bracket bit. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Fireside Chats.
How you like that logo? How you like that song intro?
Did you write that?
Yeah, my boy Kurt. I said I want something. I was like, I want to do a song for bracket bit. He's like, what do you want it to be like? And I was like, I want it to be like the old Wayne World thing from the Wayne World movie, where it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, exactly like that. And he's like, well, can you just kind of like sing the lyrics and then I'll work around it? So I recorded the video part in one take. And I said, and then I sent it to him, and then he wrote the songs, and then our other collaborator Jovi, she wrote the backing vocals, and they got together and they finished it up for me. So shout out to Kurt and Jovi for helping me put that together. Since we didn't do it last time, because I honestly, one of the reasons that I think we didn't do it last time is because I wanted to do a bracket based on Black comic book characters, but I didn't really know enough about them. Since then, I've done my homework a little bit more. So I'm going to give you, it says it's going to be a superhero showdown. I'm going to give you two different superheroes. You're telling me which moves on to the next round. Now, the mythology that you use to say, like, you could say which one would win in a fight, which one would you rather draw if you were going to draw one of the characters, which one storylines you like, which one you connect to. Whatever you decide to do, that's up to you. I just create the bracket. You solve it however you want. One way, Crystal Hubbard, who I told you had that take on when we did her bracket bit, and it was a bunch of superheroes, DC characters fighting against each other. She decided that they were under mind control, and they were being forced to fight to the death, which I thought was an interesting way to do it. Are you ready, sir?
I'll try. I'll try it.
And
I may be a little scatterbrained too on trying to remember how these
No.
operate, but
I basically asked a couple of people to give me who like the top basically Black superheroes were that were originally created as such. I didn't want any that were changed or resort of cast. I wanted to make sure they were all kind of original. So tell me how you think and tell me if I missed anybody. All right. All right.
I don't know all the Black characters now.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's some that you might know either, but I just tried some. Yeah.
All right,
You'll be fine.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right, we got Blade versus Mace Windu.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Now they both have, one's half vampire, the other one is a Jedi.
Well, Blade is one of my favorite characters. Like that, I would definitely. I mean, if they asked me to draw Blade right now, if Marvel asked me, I would definitely jump at that opportunity.
That would be like your number one.
Yeah.
So you're going Blade,
but
Mace Windu is.
Yeah, Blade would beat Mace.
I mean, he got pushed out the window by Anakin, right? Didn't he? He got pretty.
He's not dead. You think he's dead?
No, I don't. I hope not. I hope not. You never know. Disney. Disney's gonna there's gonna be a Mace Windu show like 2027 Disney Plus. Something's coming.
Does Blade fall under the vampire rules of how you kill a vampire? You just can't like stab a vampire with anything or shoot a vampire. Like they're immortal, right?
Yeah, but does that apply to like being sliced in half with a lightsaber though? I mean, I think lightsaber sort of trumps vampire rules, doesn't it?
Right, but Blade is also fast.
He's very fast. Choice
I
is
don't
yours.
know, man. And the Force is something to deal with, but I got to straight up fight. I have to give the edge to Blade.
All right, give it play. Plus, you said that he's my favorite character, so that's fine. All right, these are two badasses that sort of run behind the scenes. Nick Fury, Amanda Waller. I've always said that.
Now, are we saying a physical fight between the two, or are we saying using their resources they have at hand?
I think we're gonna let them use their resources because I don't think I don't think that that's a fair fight. One-eyed Nick versus Amanda getting in the ring together. I don't know. I think it's more like a who could out fox the other in your perspective.
I'll give it to Amanda because I think she's willing to go where Nick Fury won't go.
Yeah, that brings me back to my point about the first Suicide Squad movie and them making her like extremely cold by having her like kill her whole tech team at the end
Right,
for like no
right.
reason. It's like, do you just get a new tech team like every week because you don't want them to know what's good? I just felt like they did that, just made her look like super cold.
She's super cold.
All right, we got John Stewart Green Lantern versus Will Smith's Agent J. One of them's an alien, one of them's used to fighting aliens and it's got all kinds of fancy guns.
Right. Anyway, that's easy. Green Lantern.
All right. We got an all Halle Berry bracket here. We got Storm or Catwoman.
Storm.
We got Spawn or Black Lightning.
How do you kill Spawn?
How do you kill what's already dead, right?
Right. I don't really. I'm going to give it to Spawn, but I really don't know a whole lot about his abilities. Like, I don't know. Black
What about-
Lightning is just electricity, right?
Yeah.
That's the go-to power for black characters too. Lightning.
It's electricity.
Yep.
Or villains. Or villains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Electro. Oh, damn. Uh-oh. Ice spending. Jamie Foxx.
What do you say? I thought for sure there'd be a Black Spider-Man somewhere.
Breaking news. Controversy.
And if there's any of these characters that you sort of want to expand on, like how your feelings on, this is kind of why I did this at the beginning, so that if there was one of these characters that you wanted to talk on a little bit, you could expand on them.
I feel you. I got you. Oh, did I?
Yeah, sorry. I said Son. Sorry, making sure. Okay. All right. We got Luke Cage versus Icon.
Oh wow, Icon is like Superman, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean he's a tough.
Yeah, I got to give it to Icon.
Misty Knight or Cloak.
What does Cloak do again?
Cloak and Dagger. He's kind of like, I guess he's kind of Batmanish, right? He's like sort of like
he envelops people in darkness,
something like that.
But I forgot. Does he absorb all light around him or something?
I know he was one of the first ones that got a like their own comic book in the '80s, the Cloak and Dagger franchise. I'm not sure exactly
I'm gonna
what
go
they
Cloak.
did. Cloak.
Misty, she just has a bionic arm, right?
Yeah. We got Nubia, which is Wonder Woman's sister or twin sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Falcon.
Nubia. That's pretty easy.
How do you feel about the Falcon storyline and becoming Captain America?
Oh, I think they did it really well. If I have any complaint, I'm not. I don't like that costume, and I don't like that costume. I didn't like it in the comics either.
The new one?
Too loud. Yeah. I wish they would that's me personally. I wasn't really feeling that costume like that.
You would have designed something better.
Yeah. I won't say better. It's just my tastes.
Different.
Are different.
All right, we got Martha Washington or Bishop.
Martha Washington's a great comic book series that Frank Miller wrote, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good story. It's still relevant now. I was reading it. Sometime a couple of years ago. I was reading it. Some of it. It's still relevant. Bishop, I don't know a whole lot. I'm leaning toward Bishop because Martha's like she's regular, right?
Yeah, what you
a
got?
regular person. So straight up fight Bishop, but obviously destroy her. But I like Martha the character better.
Remember, you can always switch. You can always switch reasoning midway through the bracket. This is the your reasoning and your choices are completely up to you.
Well, we're
If you're
talking
gonna
about
stick,
fight, so
if
Bishop.
you're gonna stick with it. All right, you're going Bishop. All right, Firestorm or Static.
Firestorm. Remind me of Firestorm.
Firestorm, and I had to look some of these up earlier
DC,
today.
right?
Yeah,
Is he like the Human Torch, or is there something more to him?
Firestorm. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that. Firestorm, DC Comics. Well, here's a picture of Fire. Here's Firestorm.
Mm, yeah. Oh, he looks nuclear with that symbol on his chest. Isn't that nuclear, or isn't he
Yeah,
more than fire?
what's his Wikipedia say? Debut as a morning, blah blah blah. He's part of the Justice League. Dual identity. He was a Nobel physicist, so it probably
Then it
something
says Firestorm, the nuclear man.
the nuclear man. Yeah.
But can he withstand a electrical strike? Like
That
what's
is the
his
question.
endurance?
Maybe that's the Achilles heel of the nuclear man is static electricity.
Well, static should be faster than him. If static is if static is all about electricity, not just projecting electricity, it actually embodies everything that comes with that, he should be super fast. So he should be able to strike first, even if Firestorm is like pound for pound more powerful.
You're going static.
Yeah, I'll go with static.
All right. We got Spectrum or Batwing.
If Spectrum has powers and Batwing's just another dude in a suit like Batman, then Spectrum.
Spectrum. And we
I
have
think Batwing's tech. He's tech. He has
yeah.
tech, but what Spectrum? Isn't he green or something like? What does Spectrum do? I don't read a
Get
lot of
get
stuff.
get to know your superheroes.
I know.
Uh, let's see what the wiki on Spectrum says. All right. Spectrum is Monica is a fictional character, superheroine from the Marvel Comics. She became known as Second Captain Marvel. Yeah. This is the. I think she wasn't she the one where. Oh no, I think that's Blue Marvel, where she
Well,
was like one of
she
those.
falls into the Captain Marvel category, then yeah, of course she's gonna win.
Yeah, she is. She looks like a Captain Marvel type player. So yeah, pretty safe to say. All right, we got Vixen or War Machine.
War Machine's another tech, but techno, he's Iron Man basically. But Vixen, I can't remember Vixen either. As far as
Oh,
I can't remember what she does. What does she do? Or he does? He does.
Vixen is. Give me a second here. Let's pull. I should have. I had these all pulled up earlier because I was doing my research. But let me see here. Vixen is 1981. Vixen is a superhero in possession of the Tantu totem, which allows her to harness the spirit of animals. She can conjure the power and abilities of any animal, past or present. She's been recently added
War
to
Machine. I mean,
Arrow's Legend of
talking
Tomorrow.
regular animals, then War Machine.
War Machine, yeah. Animals are no bottle for um, tons and tons of bullets. All right, Blue Marvel is the one I was talking about. Who a lot of people are saying is stronger than Captain Marvel and could have defeated Thanos pretty much by themselves, but they decided to go with Captain Marvel iteration versus Steel John Henry Irons.
You saying Blue Marvel is Thanos level power?
Well, Blue Marvel. What I've thought is that Blue Marvel is a little bit stronger than Captain Marvel, right?
I don't know. Don't read Blue Marvel. I don't know. I don't know.
Blue Marvel is objectively one of the strongest of them all, being able to single-handedly generate a stable event.
Are we
Horizon.
talking Shaq still? Because Shaq is a Laker, and he played still, and I'm a Laker fan, even though they suck right now. So I'm going with still. Home team.
All right, sticking with the home team. All right. Blue Marvel gets knocked out. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, or Sync?
I don't know anything about Sync, but Miles is my boy, and Spider Man's literally my favorite superhero. And I believe Spider Man can beat the entire. If they did Spider Man the way he is in the comic books with his spider sense, he should have been able to take out the almost every Avenger, the whole Avengers team by himself.
Without the Stark Tech?
Yeah, without the Star Tech. That's what I'm saying. Like people don't like Spider Man doesn't need all that stuff.
Right.
The fact that he has spider sense and he already has his spider strength and all of that stuff, it was, I mean, he's done it in the comics. He can handle the Avengers, all except for maybe Thor
What did you think
and the Hulk.
what did you think of No Way Home?
Oh, that was a fun movie. That was a fun movie. Yeah, it's their version of Spider Verse, which I
Yeah.
still put at the #1 slot of Spider-Man films. I don't care what anyone says.
You still think Into the Multiverse is the best one?
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Miles Morales.
Yep. Pound for pound. Yep. Up and down story, artistry. Has the most accurate Peter Parker I've ever seen on screen. It just captured the essence of Spider-Man through and through. Whether that's the Peter Parker or Miles or what's Dad's bod Spider? What's his name?
Oh,
But
the first one or?
the one that was training Miles.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
But
forgot.
it really man, that's one of my all time favorite like movies of ever. Like that's a great piece of work. But more importantly, like it just completely embodies what Spider Man is all about.
I did sort of think it was brave to end the No Way Home the way it did, because basically it is the strip. He is basically stripped down of everything. No more Stark Tech. Nobody knows who it is. It's just
Yeah,
a
I
kid in
think
the apartment. I did feel that was like they could have just kept making, like to have them finish, just everybody forget him. It felt like a really strong, brave choice, I think, which kind of leaves it up to whether or not they will or will not do more sequels. Although Tom Holland is still a
and
young
I
kid.
know younger fans they're not tied down by nostalgia like maybe people our age.
Hmm.
So I don't think they were as bothered by the Stark Tech spin they put on the new Spider-Man films.
Hmm.
But I didn't grow up with him that way. So to me, it just felt like he was. To me, it was like it was a person I felt was a little too much Tony Stark in the Spider-Man films. Like I didn't need that to like Spider-Man, and I didn't think it was a necessary thing. I understand, I know Robert Downey Jr. was the linchpin to this whole Marvel MCU success, but
We got something dripping over your camera, Keithan.
oh yeah, that's my little card for when
You
to
don't want
keep
to.
the cable companies from turning the thing on and taking a look at it.
All right, we're almost done here with the first round. The next one we have Cyborg or Iron Heart.
Cyborg. Oh man, that's a good matchup. Well, Ironheart's smarter than he is, so I'm gonna give it to her.
She's also got the Stark Tech, right?
Yep.
It's a good one. And then Black Panther or Morpheus.
Jeez.
Now I don't know where this fight takes place, whether it takes place in the real world or in the Matrix.
Oh, you said Black Panther or Morpheus? I thought you
Yeah.
said. For some reason, I was thinking Blade.
I don't know. That could be the fine.
Oh, Morpheus. Is he like? He's a vampire, right?
Morpheus is from the Matrix.
Oh, that Morpheus.
Yeah. Is there another Morpheus vampire? Did they get lazy?
He's not the one that, not Jake Gyllenhaal, but what's his name playing for Marvel? Isn't it?
Mobius? Mobius? Is that a different one? No, I was
Not
thinking
Mobius.
just
Is it
I was I was just
Morbius? Oh no, that's
yeah,
Morbius.
yeah. No, I was just
Morbius
thinking Matrix Morpheus.
versus who now?
Black Panther.
Oh, Black Panther.
Black Panther all day. All right, we got Black Panther or Ironheart. Second round coming in fast and hot. You can't see it here. Can I see it? I can see it. Ironheart. Black Panther. I mean, Black Panther held
We're
his
talking
own
about
against.
okay. We're talking about like if they just put him in the room and let him fight.
Yes, I mean this is what you're choosing to choose it as.
Oh,
Remember, Keithan, the bracket bit is created to cause maximum pain, as I can see in your face, and then but it's up to you. It's up to you how you decide it.
you've succeeded. I'm going.
This is for scientific purposes.
Damn, she's got so much. I mean, that iron, that tech, man. She has options.
Well, you saw Black Panther sort of hold his own against against a bunch of Avengers, right? He was fighting two of them up, but he was fighting Captain America and Bucky at the same time, basically.
Yeah,
And
they're flesh
but
and bone, though. They're flesh and bone.
Natasha kind of got him with those shocks at one point.
Well, I you know what? We'll give him what the crutch they give to Batman, the preparation time.
Oh, the prep time.
I'll give it to Black Panther if he has time to sit there and plan for it.
Now, obviously, you know, the I'm blanking on the actor's name. Obviously, right this second. Obviously, that passed. That played Black Panther.
Oh, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman. Obviously, that's a huge loss to the franchise, to the character.
You're gonna ask me about the recasting.
No. My question is not about the recast. My question is, because I've seen it, because it's been done, and in comic book worlds like Marvel universes, more so in other fandoms, but nobody's ever really dead. I just thought that my thought was, what would it take to bring back Killmonger
Killmonger.
Mhm. as a new Black Panther?
Killmonger.
Yeah.
Bring him back as Black Panther.
Like, wouldn't there be a way to revive that storyline of him? Like if you were going to because just I'm thinking about it. I sometimes I think about these things from a casting perspective as a filmmaker, obviously, which is Michael B. Jordan has that character. It's a
Yeah, you
comic
can bring him
universe.
back, but is he gonna also change his personality? Is he? I mean,
There's
his
no
tactics weren't exactly what he the end result of what he's trying to accomplish. That's great, but his tactics were questionable at
Killmonger's
best.
one of those characters where you're like, I can kind of see where he's coming from though. Like Killmonger, Thanos, you're like, maybe they're on the right track a little bit, right?
Mm.
Where do you fall on the casting though? Do you feel that it's okay to recast that kind of characters? I mean, it's always been done. There's 17 different Jokers and stuff
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
okay
Or
to recast it. First of all, we don't own Black Panther. Marvel does. It was created by Stanley and Jack Kirby. Black folks don't have any right to Black Panther. And and then and fans all around the world just well, why are we saying we can't recast them? What's the argument?
the argument is that he's so ingrained in the character that they're almost crossing over the real world into the fantasy world. They want the character to die with Chadwick because
So further generations,
solidifies him.
so younger generations from 10, 20, 40 years from now can't and will not be able to enjoy a new Black Panther film because we're holding that legacy to Chadwick only. And so you know what I mean? Like,
No, I
why is
understand what
the
you're
question
saying.
to me? The why? Why?
No, I think the people that say don't recast it are making that point. They're saying that the character is so iconic. By, I guess you could similarly say there shouldn't have been, and there wasn't for. I don't think that it would be never recast Black Panther, but don't recast Black Panther within this series of films. I guess eventually they would eventually remake or do another Black Panther movie, just the same way they would have somebody else play the Joker after Heath Ledger. But I think they're when they say don't recast the part, I think it's more in line with don't recast the part to finish Marvel Phase 4 or whatever they're on. Does that make sense?
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but
It don't make sense.
I mean, what are we saying? We're not going to go watch it because someone else is playing it. And what if they do a great job?
I think people will watch it either way. I just think that it hit them emotionally, so I think people are sort of wired to just be
Understand
like,
that you have an
no.
emotional attachment to the
Yeah.
you have an emotional attachment to the character, but at the same time, Chadwick is a real person. Black Panther is not real. So I think you just continue to honor his memory and what the work that he's done in that role and all the other stuff he's done, because that's not the only movie he's been in, and that's not the only character he's played. You got you got to separate that. I mean, Black Panther is not a real character. Chadwick is a real person, a real artist, and a real actor that should be appreciated for all the roles he's played.
Nobody can
Um,
play Jackie Robinson again either, right? So,
right. So
or any other parts that he played. All right. We have Steel John Henry Irons or Spider-Man Miles Morales.
uh I'm gonna. Hmm. I don't know. I know Steel is super strong, but what are the? I don't know the limits of his strength, but he's
Uh,
obviously physically stronger than Miles.
Steel John is he is a genius engineer who built a mechanized suit of armor that replicates Superman powers and bears Superman's logo.
Right.
Initially, he sought to replace Spider-Man after Superman was killed by Doomsday.
So it's hard to beat the mind, intelligence. So we'll give to Steel.
Steel John Henry Irons, War Machine or Spectrum?
Cannot remember Spectrum's abilities for it.
Let's go with War Machine. Make it easier for you.
Huh?
Let's go with War Machine then and make it
Yeah,
easier.
War Machine.
All right. Static or Bishop?
Static.
Cloak or Nubia? She's got
Not completely familiar with Cloak's abilities, but and I know because he could cancel out Nubia's physical strength with his ability. I don't know enough about. God dang, I hate this. Let's go with Nubia.
give me a
Oh,
second here.
probably can beat her though. But
Do you remember Cloak and Dagger, the
I do
80s
remember
movie?
that. I just don't. It's been a while.
Oh, she's all right. We got Icon and Spawn.
Oh, that's a tough one too, because Spawn is already dead. What does his change do? What does Spawn's change do? Are they significant? Like, do they actually do anything? You know?
Through the internet, Spawn's other powers are phasing, psychic link, superhuman senses, telekinesis, cosmic awareness, and transformation. So it just depends on whether it's before or after his Armageddon storyline. Some of his powers decreased.
Yeah, I do remember that. He's like, he has a time limit on his powers or something like that. I'm going to, hmm, Icon.
Icon. And then we have Storm or Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
Blade or Amanda Waller.
Blade.
Blade or Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
Icon or Nubia.
Oh, Icon.
Static or War Machine?
Static.
Steel John Henry or Black Panther?
Steel.
All right, we got our final four. We got Green Lantern or Icon, John Stewart.
Shit. Icon.
Why is Green Lantern such a hard character to put on film?
Is it? Do you think it is?
I mean, I don't know. I think that from what I don't, I just don't find any of the Green Lantern movies memorable. Like I don't find,
Isn't
I
there only
don't.
one
Well, I think
outside of
so.
the animation?
Outside of the animation, I just feel I don't know. Is it just the type of super cat power is so? I don't know. I guess it's only limited by his imagination, but is the reproduction of it on screen limited by like technological stuff? Maybe that's it.
I think that used to be the case.
I don't know. I'd like to see what the like they could do with him now.
Right.
And then
Sure we'll see it. I mean, there was glimpses of the Green Lantern, one of the Green Lanterns back in what was it, Justice League.
there was a picture of Deadpool in costume, and the people that he was in costume for, there was a picture that leaked on the internet of Ryan Reynolds in his Deadpool costume,
Mhm.
and the people that were in the picture with them were the production designers for Multiverse of Madness. So there's a chance that Deadpool appears in Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange.
He
That's the
probably
leak.
will.
That's the leak. What I would like to see is some sort of bizarro Iron Man, because it was interesting that the other Peter Parkers were like, who the fuck are the Avengers? Who the hell is who's Iron Man? Because in their universe there is no Iron Man, I guess. I knew that the other Peter Parkers were going to be there, but I was like, oh man, I hope that they bring in an Iron Man from another dimension just so we can get Iron Man back. So
Oh, but played by who?
played by I get I don't know who would be maybe like Brad Pitt play like some bizarro Iron Man coming in from somewhere.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt is like some other Iron Man from another dimension. So Icon beats Green Lantern, and then we have Static or Steel John Henry.
Still is wearing it's still tech, right? He's wearing this technical marvel of a suit, right? It's like a
Yeah.
Iron Man type suit,
Yeah,
right?
it's a mechanized suit of armor that replicates Superman's powers.
I'm
So
thinking Static
so
can short circuit it somehow, or somehow
Yeah.
get into the workings of it.
Yeah, mechanical suit does bring some issues with it. Ant-Man
Right.
got all up in Iron Man suit and fucked it up.
I'm going with Static.
And then we got the final Static versus Icon.
Icon.
Icon. Sorry to put you through that, but I did want to make sure that we got through some sort of comic bracket with you that we didn't get to do last time. Where do you place these guys on there? Over here, these people. You recognize that poster?
Power Knights.
Of
I think they have
course.
some other characters on there too.
Is it?
My old partner's characters.
This this came with this came
Yeah.
from your GoFundMe when from the Power Knights episode that I have.
Yeah.
I got the Japanese inspired cover myself.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Cool.
that's cool. When it comes to I mean, yeah, I do. I mean, I did a little research and stuff like that, and like I said, I reached out to some people that I knew. I was like, well, what are the top superheroes that you would say that were originally created as black superheroes that weren't changed? And then I looked up a list, and I was like, well, I would think it would be at least interesting to talk about some of them. Do
Is
you
that a
feel?
real fire that you have going?
Yeah.
Or is it one of those?
Well, it's
turns
not
on
like
gas?
no, it's not. It's an actual fireplace. I have it's a fake log. It's a fire log,
Okay.
but it was summer in San Diego for like a week straight. It was 90,
Right.
and I bought all these fire logs because I thought it was going to be cold. and then all of a sudden in the middle of February it's 85 degrees every day. So now that it's cold again, I'm like, fuck it, let's light a fire. It's fire.
Better warm up by the weekend.
It is Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito, so we got to go into it. I wanted to ask you, as an artist, something that I talked to about a couple of guests, which was NFTs and the sort of movement to empower artists to have more control over their visual work.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is, do you feel that the quality of these NFT art pieces that are selling for a lot of money sort of diminishes sort of your desire to be involved with something like that? Do you feel that comic book artists are sort of jumping onto that trend?
I think everyone's jumping onto it.
But isn't some of the art that they put out there, like they copy and paste these different apes? They changed the sunglasses like it was an avatar. They changed their outfits. They're like, this is eye patch ape, and it's just the same ape with an eye patch, and then they sell for like 4 or 5 Ethereum, or like.
I think if you can convince somebody to buy something, then you won. You know, I mean, what my understanding of the value of art is in its rarity, the one of a kindness of it. If like, I don't want no parts of a digital copy of a Picasso, for instance. That means nothing to me. You know.
So there's the concept of digital scarcity, kind of like something that's kind of foreign to you then, because I mean it's all built on this idea of
I know the
digital
algorithm
scarcity.
set up where you can't duplicate it without permission, or you know you can have copies of it, but the NFT itself has been designed to I forgot
You
the
can
term they call the term that keeps it locked.
non-fungible stuff.
Yeah, that they're digitally making it hard for that particular file to be duplicated without permission,
Well, there's an
and
end.
that the value of it is based on that mechanism. At the end of the day, me personally, it's still a piece of, it's still zeros and ones. It's not physical. I can't put it on my wall. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm talking the hand, like the original hand drawn piece of art from a human being that only that human can make that mark the way it was made, just like your hand signature, right?
Mhm.
I come from that world, and that's what turns me on. Now, somebody gets excited because something's been arbitrarily made valuable through technology, and they buy into that. Like I said, the seller is the winner. You know,
What
if
I
you
don't
can,
like seeing is like all these celebrities that already have a shit ton of money that are like promoting it, and they're like, "Oh, I just got my NFT, and I just got my Bored Ape, and I just got this," and you know, and then there's people that are low that have less money, and they think that they need to get in on it, and it's, you know, and it feels very pyramid schemish to me, because like you said, you're not
exactly.
really whoever's left holding the bag at the end is going to feel stupid, because they're going to be like, I spent how many Ethereum on this, and then they're going to be like, what the fuck, and they're like, well, nobody can right click on it, it's yours, you're the only person, nobody can right click and save as, and you're the only one that can use it as an avatar in the metaverse.
Yeah, and it's all money based. It's not. From my point of view, like you. I mean, you guys are talking about money. You're not talking about
It's the stock.
the stock, the art, the whatever. You don't give a shit about it. You just all you want is the money. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like,
my biggest complaint is that it feels very
so why don't you
pyramidish,
just
and that the
why
art.
don't you just make a dollar sign? Look, here's the number. Here is the number 5, and it's an NFT because this is an actual. It represents how much this NFT is worth, and tomorrow it's going to switch to number 10, and then the next day it's going to switch to number 20. Just because you put an icon over it, because that's basically what this stuff is. This icon represents this This NFT icon represents this amount of money. To me, that's what it is. I mean, that's a simplistic way to look at it, but
Yeah. I just think that
it's not the same as
the art
Bitcoin, for instance.
the art itself is horrible. The art itself is unappealing. The art itself is poorly drawn. It's copy and paste. It's not good. And it's not like it's artists like you that are
Are
putting
you
it
talking
out.
about art that was specifically created to be an NFT?
Yeah, art that was created to be an NFT. That they like the Bored Ape line, or there's a million of them. There's like drunk penguins. There's whatever the hell. It's a concept, and it's my thing is it's not really people who I would consider artists that are doing
Right,
it.
right.
It's not like you say, hey, I'm taking my original 10 Power Knights drawings and I'm turning them into NFTs and I'm selling them the rights to them. I'm gonna raise money for charity,
That's what I
right?
mean. It's just an icon for a
For a
monetary value,
for a stock that'll
for a
go up
stock.
and down
It's
in
not. It has
value. And
nothing to do with the quality of the art itself, or if the art has any meaning behind it. It's all capital.
one thing that I read about the Super Bowl commercials was that the Super Bowl commercials had a lot of crypto ads that were very reminiscent of like the early 2000s .com ads when there was
Mhm.
like the .com, like pets.com and all this other stuff. There was so many cryptos. Once your grandma and your auntie are talking about crypto and stuff like that, you already know that a lot of these meme coins and stuff are just going
Bubble's
to
gonna
come.
burst.
Bubble's going to burst on that.
Yeah.
Um, the in your
It may
mind, and
develop. I mean, it may morph and evolve into something that makes more sense and has real value eventually, and people have a true understanding of it. Right now, I think most people it's still hazy to most people. Even Bitcoin is still a cloudy picture on that. I have more faith in that than I do NFTs.
yeah,
But
the
still, it's
decentralized coin is it makes a lot more sense from a
right.
practical standpoint, and it's something that can uplift people in ways that people that ordinarily couldn't have bank accounts, groups that aren't lazy couldn't raise money. That's all good, but when you're telling me that you doodled something in Microsoft Paint and now you change the glasses from like black glasses and then it's a whole new thing, and I have to believe and I have to get other people to believe. I've done that. It's called multi-level marketing. It's called don't get caught holding the bag.
Right.
It, pump it up, get other people interested in it, get celebrities into it, get celebrities to say, get Justin Bieber to spend $100,000 on a Bored
Cash
Ape.
out ASAP.
Then when all the fucking dumbasses come in, then cash the fuck out, and then it's like, what NFT? What fuck? We're on to the next thing. You know a lot about you're a movie fan. I like engaging with you on your film post. What filmmaker would you like to see do a superhero movie?
Ooh, good question. I think I actually posted something about this. Okay. All right. Here's my theory. And
Okay.
and ironically enough, it goes back to Batman.
Okay.
I would love to see 50 Cent produce a Batman film based on his sensibilities, based on what the way he handles his Power series. I
Hmm.
think that would be awesome because 50, all that stuff he does for Power and its Power universe he's created, I ate all that stuff up. Like I love those shows.
Would it
And
be a black Batman though, or no?
no, don't have to be a black Batman. It would be, but it would come from someone who understands the streets in a real way, and it would be from his point of view, like because Batman can operate in that world. Like, forget about the Joker and all that other stuff. Like, I want to see 50 Cent. Like 50, how would you do? How would you write a Batman story on the ground level? How would you handle him? I'm super interested in seeing that.
With full rights to all the characters in the DC universe, or some sort of new sort
I
of
don't. Yeah. Well.
story,
Yeah. Well.
whatever
Sure.
it is.
Just we're talking about one movie, right? A film.
Right.
Yeah. I would love to see 50 Cent produce a Batman movie in the same way that he does the Power universe, because he does these. the stuff in Power, it's like all of that stuff is based on reality and real things that happen in the real world. But at the same time, it's also the characters in there are also almost superheroic in the way they in that world. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's real, but it's not real.
I was going to ask you this.
His reality, you could tell 50 Cent brings a reality to those films, to that genre that's unique to him, like to his real life experience. You can tell he brings it to it. He understands that world.
I think that would be interesting. That would be. I could see Batman in Jamaica, Queens, and kind of where that would
Yeah. 'Cause you
take
don't
him
really
out.
see I don't have you seen that yet? Like like
No.
yeah, you don't really I mean, you see Batman beating up generic version of thugs and all this other stuff, but but ultimately he's going to fight some super villain or some high profile villain. It doesn't really get down into we don't see him really get down into the weeds, into the actual what makes Gotham grimy.
Maybe some elements of Luke Cage show kind of delved into that because they were more kind of not necessarily about the heart of the city, but like maybe the outside, kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah, he gets into it. He gets
yeah.
into it.
But my favorite part of Luke Cage was that they named every one of the episodes after a Gangstar song.
That's
That's
right.
that, that's what got me. I was like, "What?" I was just looking at the. I was like, "This is some gangster shit." I
Luke
asked
Cage
you.
goes all the way back to people kind of forget Luke Cage is like on that what kind of it's the building block for Netflix. Remember
Yeah,
that was early Netflix when
that
people
was
started binging.
one of the early binges.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I asked you answered this earlier, and but I had it here, which was what franchise or character would you want to adapt or remake or draw in your own style? And you said Blade, right? That would be
Mhm.
if you could adapt any character, that would be it.
Blade and Conan.
Conan.
Yep.
What would you do with Conan?
Because I'm a huge Frazetta fan, Frank Frazetta fan, and uh, I don't want to diss other artists that have worked on Conan, but it just seems like modern, like ever since Sal Buscema, ever since he left the series back in I don't know what the 60s, 70s, you can draw Conan too slick. Like it's got to look savage.
Hmm,
That's what I loved about the first Conan film. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger looks like a dead barbarian. He sounds like a barbarian. You know what I mean? He has an edge to him that Conan the character needs. Like, didn't have Jason Momoa play him once? There was
I don't
some
know.
new Conan movie they made back in the early 2000s or mid 2010s.
No, no, not my Conan.
But he looked like a pretty boy, and I was like, this is too slick. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
This is supposed to be a barbarian in a barbaric world. It's supposed to be a savage, and so I would have fun drawing Conan. Yeah,
Conan or Blade.
and
It'll be a,
Blade. I just love the concept of a daywalker. That's so ill to me. Like a daywalker. I can't believe like he doesn't have a current comic now. Like Blade is dope, man. Like the concept of what he is and just the way he looks, everything. Like I would have fun with that. Like yeah, I would have fun drawing him in that world, and I have images in my head of how compositions in my head, excuse me, of how I would draw him. You know,
fuck yeah, man. Shifting over a little bit into sports and hip hop because I know those are things that you're also passionate about, and obviously, what did you think of the halftime show
excuse me.
as a West Coast hip hop fan and somebody from our generation?
Loved it,
Loved it.
loved it. Yeah, as people are saying, one of the best halftime shows of all time. It's up there. I
I
mean,
put it.
Michael Jackson's my guy forever, but this one's up there with that. You know.
I have it after letting that simmer for days. I have it in the top 3, definitely top 5. I still have Prince number 1
Mm-hmm.
because I just think singing Purple Rain in Miami while it was a fucking downpour
Right.
is just like is just iconic.
Yep.
And Michael Jackson sitting at the top of the Rose Bowl, you know,
With those shades on, he sat there for like a minute, didn't move.
just sitting
Remember?
there. Yeah.
That's how powerful and popular he was. Like that was ill, man. I'm just gonna go up there and stand there. I'm not gonna move. I'm not gonna take my glasses off. And then when he did take the glasses off, he did it like a robot.
Yeah.
Like he's stunning on everybody.
That's one when they say that Drake, like, hey, who's bigger star, Drake or MJ? I'm like, Drake.
Are you kidding me?
Drake needs to. Drake times 10 is not what MJ was at his peak.
That's always that's a weird flex, but what?
Uh, no, but for me it goes. For me it's Purple Rain. For me it's Prince number 1, MJ number 2, and this one comes in probably close to number 3. I also think Tom Petty and Paul McCartney's were actually really good as well.
I respect that. Yeah, I respect your list. Sure.
McCartney killed it when because he was doing his songs and he was doing Beatles songs and he was doing a bunch of classic stuff. So
Right.
I really dig that. Do you and then also if you're talking about just like but because that Prince moment and something that recently happened was the Jadakiss Locks battle when Jadakiss is just sitting there and the camera zooming in on him and he's like, I don't live in Miami, I don't live in Denver. This is Kiss. We outside.
Right.
You can come see me. I'm on the block. And the fact that shit gives me chills.
Yeah. I felt bad for Dipset. Like I felt bad for Dipset, but at the same time, I was glad it happened because Dipset and I love Dipset, but they kind of for that show, they kind of represented what our generation can't stand with some of these new artists. Is like, stop being lazy when you get up there, bro. Get up there and put on a show. You're still an entertainer. And I thought
Style
Dipset
over
came in
substance.
there thinking they were going to do with these young boys and these ladies they get up there and just stand there and don't know the lyrics, or even if they do know the lyrics, they're not putting on a show. They just got a million dudes behind them from the hook from their set. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, I'm not paying to see this. Paying to see this.
Yeah, the stage kept getting more and more crowded,
I don't
more and more
want
crowded.
to see your homeboy from high school up there clogging up the works.
Trying to intimidate Jada and Styles. Like, come on, man.
Like,
What is your what would be the equivalent but with West Coast rappers? The equivalent versus for you. What would be like your dream West Coast versus battle?
because they haven't done a lot, huh?
Not really.
First person that came to mind was Cube.
Q versus
We're talking two West Coast going at each other.
two West Coast. Yeah.
Whew.
Ice Cube versus Ice T.
Ice Cube's catalog is longer than Ice T's, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think?
I mean, he's got his old.
Seem like maybe Short Dogs, Too Short, maybe.
Too Short. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah,
Or maybe
except with Ice Cube gets into more political stuff. Like his stuff is heavier as far as subject matter than Too Short.
how is it possible that LeBron James is like a top 5, top 10 player of all time, but he can't make the top 5 Lakers?
Hey man, he can't make the top 5 Lakers.
LeBron is a top 3 player of all time, arguably. He's a top 3, top 5 player of all time.
Yeah.
But if I told you, does he beat out Jerry West? Does he beat out Magic? Does he beat out Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Does he beat out Shaq? Does he beat out Kobe on the top 5 Lakers? I don't think so.
Oh, as a Laker icon, probably not. As an overall player, yeah, for sure.
That's like when Kareem was on, or was it Kareem or Will that was on UCLA junior varsity team, and they were like number one team in the county, number two on. Oh wait, UCLA was the number one team in the country, but Kareem was playing on the JV team because he was only a sophomore, and they're like UCLA, best team in the country, number two team on campus because they weren't playing for him yet. Do you put?
Yeah, I put my top 3 players as far as overall NBA all time: Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. My top Lakers: Kobe at the slot. Well, no, Magic at slot 1, Kobe 2. Kareem.
You got Kareem, you got Wilt.
For me, for my age, I'm going Kareem.
Kareem over Shaq,
Yeah.
or Shaq at the power forward.
Well, we're talking about top 3.
Oh, top 3. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
If you're talking about putting the team together, then okay. Then I'm bringing LeBron in.
You think? I mean, LeBron is the evolution of Michael and Kobe. One of the. I mean, I think Michael, because I saw him destroy the Knicks so many times, is probably still number one for me. Kobe came about as close to replicating Michael and sort of in some areas surpassing them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's one person that had more drive than Michael, I think it was Kobe. And LeBron surpassed Michael, I believe, in being closer to like Ali. You know, Michael was an icon, but Michael also took the easy road out. You know, when he said Republicans buy shoes too, he
Mm-hmm.
refused to take any political stance during his
Mm-hmm.
career. People were getting shot over his sneakers, you know, and he really didn't really do much about it. I think LeBron is way above him in terms of taking his sports persona and really doing something with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as a sports legend, LeBron in longevity, even though he's lost in the finals multiple times, which Kobe and MJ never did, still gets that edge in terms of an icon of sports because of his other work. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's just a basketball game, Michael's taking my last shot. And if I'm building a team, you can't go wrong with MJ or Kobe. But do you put MJ slightly ahead of Kobe, or do you
As
or
a
do you just
basketball player,
yeah?
yeah. Kobe. The difference between the 3: Michael Jordan and LeBron James are physically gifted. They just have, like just like I just always knew how to draw, right? And I just got better as I worked on it. And, just but I could always draw at a high level, even at a very young age. Kobe had to work really hard to be in that circle, be in their circle, you know. But I think Kobe's the smartest one of the 3 as far as his basketball IQ. Like, I'm sure he thinks of, and I might have heard him say it, if I had LeBron's body, I could do this. If I had Jordan's body, I could do that. But he had to work with what he had physically. And I mean, everyone knows Kobe was obsessive with basketball. I mean, to the point where it's annoying to his teammates, you know. But I think as he grew older and he went through the trials and tribulations he went through, he became more human and more relatable. You know, Jordan is more. He's an old head. You know, he's almost a boomer. Where as far as his mentality toward everything, it's like I'm
The
gonna
guy,
get mine. It's about business first. Tough luck, suck it up, that type of mentality, and
and pettiness, right? He brought the
pettiness.
guy,
He's
the guy
still
who
like tripping over. Like that's a good thing you brought up because I'm like,
he brought
I
the guy
think
that he got cut on his basketball team to his right. He brought the guy who he got cut for
right,
on his basketball team
and I'm
to
like
his Hall of Fame induction.
to roast him. right? And then you know, I don't particularly like how he handled Scottie Pippen.
Mm.
I think Michael knew Scottie was financial. I knew Michael knew everything that was going on with Scottie Pippen financially, and he had the absolute power to help him get out of that or get paid. But he's over here worrying about the game, the game, the game, the game. Bro, the game ain't going nowhere. You Michael Jordan. They're gonna do ultimately they're gonna bend to your will if you push. And that's your boy Scottie Pippen, which you don't have not a single ring if he doesn't show up. Because people forget Michael wasn't winning no championships and or even getting into even going to the big game before Scottie showed up
Yeah,
or
Scotty
Phil
was
Jackson showed up.
Scotty,
He
Scotty,
was just a
Scotty.
highlight reel.
Yeah, he needed to learn how to win, and he needed to have his Robin, man.
Right.
Scotty
So I
was
just
Scotty was
think,
the ultimate Robin.
yeah, I just think you're right. He has a he can be a little vindictive and hold on to grudges where like to this day he's holding on to grudges with folks. And I'm like, bro, Kevin, stop. Stop.
You won, Michael. You won.
One, bro.
You own the Hornets. What else could you want?
And then LeBron, my criticism of LeBron is that um he can be a little too passive, to achieve the things he wants. He can be a little too passive. He says he's making the right basketball play. It's a team game, and that all sounds good. But bro, I don't want Joe Blow taking the missing the final shot. I want you to miss the final shot. At least you took it.
Yeah.
Anybody can miss the shot just because they're open. But that's where Kobe always took it upon himself to make sure he took that final shot because he's the man on the team. He's the guy that's getting the bucks, the money to do so, and he's the face of the franchise. And with
Is that
that responsibility, you take that shot.
is that what the reason that Kobe and Shaq had a breakup because they both thought they were Batman. Neither one of them wanted to be Robin.
Yeah, more so Kobe. I mean, and I think it wasn't a big secret. We all knew Kobe wanted to show that he could do it. He can be the man on the team, and that was hard for him to do with Shaq there because Shaq took up a lot of space, literally. I mean, Shaq
Shaq
was a
is
monster,
Shaq is larger than life, man.
right? Yeah,
Big-
and it wouldn't make any basketball sense to not pass it down to him on the block. I mean, he's there.
Absolutely. We're wrapping up things here with Keithan Jones from kid-comics.com. You can follow him on Twitter, Facebook. Go to Keithan kid.comics and you can learn all about Black Comix Day coming up this Saturday and Sunday free event, 10 to 6 p.m. World Beat Center, San Diego, California. More information, go to kid-comics.com and search for Black Comic Day. It's right there on the front page. If you're in San Diego, stop by the World Beat Center this Saturday and Sunday. Check it out. It's a free event. And spend some of that money you didn't spend at Comic Con this year on rising artists.
Can I talk about the two panels
Yeah,
real quick
absolutely.
at the show?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a panel per day. So the show's on the weekends, so Saturday and Sunday, February 19th and 20th. And there's one panel per day. And the first panel is called Empowered, doing Black owned business today. And on that panel is going to be about the guests are going to basically talk about doing business today as a black owner and everything that entails and giving their techniques of how they've been successful with their individual businesses. And what's cool about the panel as it pertains to comics is that you have each guest represents a peg in the wheel of how a comic is either made or distributed or created. So sweet. So for instance, we have Jason Reeves, right? Jason Reeves, he has his own actual distribution company. for many years, Diamond Distribution had a monopoly on how comics were put into stores. You had to go through them to get your stuff into comic shops. And Jason created a distribution company called Big Distro, and you basically, if you want to get you create a comic, and you're a Black creator, and being a Black creator, you don't have as, I don't want to say you don't have the same opportunities as other creators, but sometimes the perception of who we are and what we do can close doors on you that would otherwise be open if you weren't Black, if I'm being completely honest. And so through Jason, he makes it a little easier for you to get your stuff distributed across the country into different venues. It's more of he's basically a liaison between you and these comic shops that are laid out across the country. So he's going to do that work for you through his channels. And then and he's going to talk about how that's operating, how he put it together, and so on and so forth. We have David G. Brown. He's a award-winning cartoonist up in LA. He's going to talk about and he's the chairman, and I have this stuff in front of me. He's the chairman of the board of the Museum of African American Art. And so he's going to talk about his perspective and the stuff he has to deal with, and how he's been successful, and why and the how of his art and what he's doing with it as a Black creator. You have local in San Diego, LaWanna Richmond, who's she's basically a community activist here in San Diego. I think she even ran for office to be on the school board. And so we're going to hear from her perspective of how she conducts business.
That's all day one, or also day two?
That's day one.
Okay.
And her how she's involved with the school, the educational system here in San Diego, and so on and so forth, and her challenges. We're going to have John Jennings, but it's looking like he may not be able to make it because he's dealing with some family issues. But he's a professor up in at UC Riverside up north. But he's also the writer, one of the writers and the artist of the adaptations of Octavia Butler's novels. And so I was excited to have him there, but we may not be able to have him, so that's still a question mark. And then a very interesting story, Kareem Burton and Fionn Cooper, the owner operators of Black Star Collectibles, a comic book chain up in LA that's fairly new and completely Black owned, except the thing that makes their comic book shop different from most comic book shops is it's a comic book shop where you can find all kinds of not just Black comic books, but Black paraphernalia, collectibles, as the name implies. And so they have an interesting story, and they recently did I think it was a TV, I forgot what network, but they were recently on TV with Dennis Cowan of Milestone, and they did it, and Dennis himself interviewed them about how they're representing the new wave of Black creators and business owners in the world of comic books. So that's going to be fun. And then, and I know I'm being long-winded here.
No, man, this is your spot.
But Sunday is going to be another great panel, which I'm really interested in seeing myself if I can break away from my table. And that's going to be Black women in comics and publishing. And we're going to have LaWanna Richmond, Dr. LaWanna Richmond. She's going to be the moderator. And then we'll have Mia Lynette Bunn. She created a comic called The Fuck. And it's about ratchet behavior that's today's
thought representation.
Yeah. It's a real fun comic. It's funny, but at the same time got a lot of truth to it, and so it's a commentary on today's society's behavior in the world of ratchetness. So that's
Sounds
interesting. And of course, we're going to learn about what motivates her and how what she's been dealing with as a black woman in comics, and so it's going to be interesting to hear her story and her antidotes. And then we're going to have Cheryl Moreau. She's another interesting woman. She is actually the owner of the San Diego Monitor. I don't know if you're familiar with that paper, but it's a black-owned,
I think I've heard of it.
black distributed paper here in San Diego that's been around from, I mean, probably before the two of us were even born.
Mhm.
Um, and it was originally owned by her father, and her father has since passed, and so now she's in charge of it. It's been passed on to her, but she's also she's her father also created the California Curl,
Okay.
like the Jerry Curl. So she's an heir to that throne.
There you
That's
go.
yeah,
Is that like the cousin of Soul Glow?
exactly. The origin
You gotta,
story of Soul Glow.
you gotta let your soul
Yeah,
glow.
but she's a serious woman, and she calls herself an intra instead of entrepreneur. She calls herself an intrapreneur. And I'm thinking because, from my understanding, it's because she's saying what the operation she's running now is not from the ground up. That was the work she's taking the work her father laid out and taking it from the baton was passed to her. So she doesn't want to. I guess she's trying to say she's not coming from the ground up, but she's taking what's there and improving on it and expanding it.
Sounds like day one's a little bit like behind the scenes, getting kind of like a look behind the curtain, how the sausage is made in terms of breaking into the industry with some real advice from people that are doing it and have different ways to help break artists. You got day two, Black women in comics, which is obviously an important topic.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
They have a totally, being women, they have a completely different. Their world is different. We live on the same planet. Men and women live on the same planet, but we live in completely different worlds because of the way society treats us. So what's interesting is the common denominator is comic books. But what I'm interested in hearing is how is the comic book world treating them, and what do they think of the comic book world? What motivates them, versus because we normally just hear from men when it comes to comics and the creation of these characters. So it's
yeah,
going to be super interesting to hear from their perspective of what comics mean to them and what motivates them and what their challenges are in publishing. And then finally on that panel we have Aubrey Van Slootman and her sister Antoinette, and they're college age ladies, and so I wanted to hear from them because they're I believe they're Generation Z now. Yeah,
Zanellians,
so it's going to be interesting to hear their viewpoint of
the Zoomers.
the Zoomer. Yeah, yeah. So comics have been around forever, so it's in contrast to their world. So I just want to know, what do they think about comics, because they're not really just comic book creators. They're really they have a company called Broken Chalice Studios, and they're really a not multicultural, but multi media company. They do film, comics, fine arts, and so on and so forth, video editing and all of that stuff. So, but more importantly, like I said, I want to hear their viewpoint of all this stuff that's going on now with these comics and these movies and so forth. You know, not only
Ac-
from not just being women, but also in black women, but also their age demographic.
Do you think I mean, you're in the industry, you get to see and meet a lot of these people that come up to you either at your booth or during Comic-Con or other artists that you meet.
Mhm.
How do you feel? Do you feel that there's a strong generation of young artists coming up and that the comic industry is in good hands? Do you think that they are sort of taking that mantle from other
I do.
creators or
I
yeah?
do. I think independent comic books in general are bigger than ever. Like, I think independent comics is what's kept the industry heart beating for the last 10 years. 10 years, because even though Marvel and DC are the bedrock and they're always there, it kind of hit a rut with falling into this rebooting their books every 6 months. It seems like they were just going in circles there for a moment. And then here comes what the country's been going through for the last 5 years, 5, 6, 10 years with Black Lives Matter, um, police, the all the imagery from police brutality leading up to George Floyd and the gigantic worldwide protest movement from the George Floyd incident, but it also you can go back to Trayvon Martin and all the controversy that caused, and all the way to Colin Kaepernick, what that the drama that caused from him just kneeling. Um,
They got mad that M kneeled.
yeah, that's a current hot topic. Eminem kneeling and all of that, and all the way to the casting choices in these films. All of this stuff has been happening over the, like I said, over the last 10, 15 years. It's just been building, but it's been changing society. Some people are some people think more things change and more to stay the same, and all of that narrative is always going on. But these movements really have changed things. Like, obviously we're not at the finish line. It's not a utopia of what we want yet, but things have been changing. Like, you got to admit, you've never seen this many people of color in mainstream media before, whether it's on
No,
Netflix or the movies or whatever. I never seen it. Have you?
no, absolutely, and even for black and brown, it's been improving slightly. That's kind of what you can say.
But
It's been getting a little bit better. Like there's more
getting, yeah, the
TV
opportunities are
shows.
opening up, and whether that's
Yeah,
through affirmative action or not, I think is a good thing.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, now we
Also,
can
if you,
debate the quality of this stuff all day, but
I,
the fact that they're, I mean, before they didn't even try it. They didn't even try.
it's out there, and the numbers say that like black and brown communities go to the movies more than anybody else, and we want to see ourselves on screen, and we want to see characters and stuff like that. I do think that it's getting a little bit marginally better, but I still think we're held to a higher standard. I hope we get
We
to the
are.
point. I hope we get to, obviously, yeah. I hope we get to the point where black and brown creators can make mediocre TV and movies and
I'm
just
glad.
let.
I'm glad you said that, man. I just have that exact thought. It's like I just like, and even our own people, black, brown, even our own people get on folks who from their own community are trying to do something. It's like, oh well, that that looks that doesn't look as good as the Marvel movies. Well, this dude doesn't got fucking $1 billion laying around. At least give him props for trying.
Mhm.
At least give him that much. At least give him. Don't throw him out the. Don't throw him. Don't discard him off of one film or one comic
Yeah.
or one cartoon or whatever. Like, because like you just said, like, we've been accepting garbage for years, from the same artist over and over and over, and nobody raises an eyebrow over it. But as soon as one of us slips up, it's front page news. Why is it so controversial to make a bad movie
Yeah, even the framing is
or
like
okay movie?
when it's a movie that does, oh, In the Heights doesn't meet expectations for its opening weekend, and it's like, well, yeah, well, it's
It's
a
like
fucking,
it's a referendum random on the whole race of people
yeah, yeah,
or
that's
creators. It's like ridiculous.
yeah. Ideally, you get to the point where people can just make movies, make comics, make TV shows, and then they don't necessarily, yeah, they don't become the torch bearer for their entire race of people, then they get to decide whether or not other people like them get to make more movies. You know,
And then
because
the flip side is then the flip side is these artists and their fan bases have to be able to handle criticism as well, like and not take it so personal. Like people got on Robert Rodriguez case for his episodes of Boba Fett, right?
right,
And so does that mean? And I hope I get the terminology right. Would we call him Latino,
yeah,
or would we just call him Mexican?
Latino. He's both.
Latino. So is that an indictment against all Latino directors? Should people criticizing that the work that he did for that particular series reflect on other Latino filmmakers? No, because we're talking about the actual work, not him, the person. And I think a lot of people online they can blur a lot of critics online can really get into the weeds of attacking the character of some of these creators, like which I think is wrong. Like, look, man, criticize the art. Don't criticize the person. You don't know the person to criticize them on a personal level.
I saw this. I saw this tweet the other day, and it was funny just because you mentioned that. I just looked it up again. It said Robert Rodriguez should never direct or touch Star Wars again, and it says because they were mad because this dude spun around and shot his
Right.
laser, and it's like you got aliens, talking robots, monsters, spaceships, laser guns, flying cars, and glow in the dark sword. But damn it, a guy spun in space battle.
Yeah.
Hey guys, that guy shouldn't have spun right there. That doesn't make any sense. Get
And
him.
I could, if it's a joke, I can, like, okay, we all can joke with each other and make jokes and all this stuff. But then there's people on there who are dead ass serious with
Yeah,
their
yeah,
critics.
yeah.
Like, yo, okay, take a volume, take a nap.
Take a nap, dude.
Like,
Relax.
dude, it's a movie.
it's
It's a
Star Wars,
movie.
dude. They got
None of
people.
that is real.
They got people that can understand like robot languages in this universe, and
Right.
they never speak it, but they can understand clearly when a robot is beeping. They're like, oh, that means this.
Right.
Sure,
That's
sure.
what I was kind of saying about the Batman stuff. Is like, come on, man. I know we all take Batman as a serious character, but in reality, he's ridiculous too. It's like doesn't work. Not in the real world.
Who
But
you got?
Hmm.
Who you got in Batman versus Iron Man?
uh,
I think I might have asked you this last time.
everybody's gonna say Bat. Most people will say Batman. What if he has preparation? Well, what if he? I
I think Iron Man's got better toys.
I relate that to how I feel about gun people who are pro gun and all this other stuff, like thinking that if such and such had a gun, this wouldn't have happened. Like, or no, people say, well, if we have more guns, everyone would be safer.
Right.
And I'm like,
That's how that works.
well, is there any scenario that you've heard of where the guy that intends on shooting somebody announces it? You know what I mean? Like, you can have a bazooka on your back unless someone told you they're about to shoot you. It's useless. It only works for Spider-Man because he has spider sense. He knows danger is about to happen. He can get out the way and prepare himself for it. Like that doesn't how I've been shot at before in the real world, right? In real life. I tell you what happens when you get shot at. You run.
Get the fuck out of there.
You're not. It doesn't go into slow motion and you do a backflip or spin around and like in Boba. You pull out your gun and you weed through all the other people running and you have perfect aim and you have time to do all this stuff in a split second and be the hero of the story. That's not how it goes. Your body, your mind wants to preserve itself. It makes you run. It makes you duck.
There's
do backflips.
there's
and all
a
this other stuff you see in the movies.
when you talk about the fight or flight principle, there's a lot more people with the flight than with the fight.
Right.
It's much
Right.
more natural to be flight.
especially if you don't even know where it's coming from. Because, like I said, it's not like they announce it.
Yeah. We
So
don't
you
have
know,
we don't have pre-crimes yet. We're
right?
not
So,
in.
so you having a gun, and this is not me saying people shouldn't have guns, but I'm just saying having a gun does not make you safer. It,
No.
it just doesn't. It's not. That's not how it. That's just not how it works.
Statistically speaking, having a gun increases the chance of you being shot by a gun by a tremendous amount. If we're talking about just long-term mathematics, there,
Right.
it's so if you're talking about just from a statistical standpoint, the fact
Right.
that you adding a gun to your household immediately increases
Right.
the odds of something happening. It's just
Right.
a matter of
Because
fact. Now,
because the scenarios just don't work the way you see it in your head. It just doesn't work that. It never will work that way. It's
now
like
if you
trying to plan for the weekend. You know what
if
happens when you plan for the weekend, right? God laughs.
yeah, you make plans. God laugh.
Right.
Now, if you're properly trained and you're a gunsmith and you know what you're doing, then is there an element of added safety to your family? Or if you live in the wilderness, yeah, absolutely. There's different stuff like that. But if you're just talking from a medical standpoint, and you're right, in that moment when the shit goes down, your body just is going to react. You're going to try to preserve yourself, and you're going to just get the fuck out of Dodge most of the time.
Right. Right. It's not the gamble that you want to take.
The people that thrive in those situations have extensive amount of training. They don't just have like
Oh, I
the,
went to
the
the gun range and
yeah.
I'm pretty handy with a Glock. Like, all right.
Well, guys, we're wrapping it up here with Keithan Jones from Kid Comics. I want to remind everybody one last time before we do our final bracket
So
bid. This will
that
be a quick
said,
one.
Iron Man would kill Batman.
Yeah,
If Iron Man just showed up out the blue and they just started fighting, Iron Man would just vaporize him. But
even with prep time, I think Iron Man. I think the Stark Tech is already like at he don't even need the suit. He don't even need to call in the suit like the first couple of minutes. He's got that shit in his sunglasses. He presses his Ray-Bans and brew 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 that shit.
right,
Batman's got to do it. Batman's got the bulky fucking. He's got the boomer. He's got the whole thing. He's got the utility belt. He's got the grips. Iron Man just. Come on.
yeah,
That's
like
no
yeah. I mean, you
no
see
contest.
Batman. Let's be real. Superman lets Batman win.
Pretty much, yeah.
He doesn't
Superman's
even have to be in the same on the same planet. Let me just attack Batman from the moon.
that's the old sort of dilemma of any real superhero movie is you have these Captain Marvel or these super powered. It's like, why doesn't just Superman just walk around just
Right,
burn everything to the fucking ground? Like, why does he have to fight? Why does it turn into a fist fight? Like you just froze something with your vision two
right,
seconds ago. You just cut through laser through that, and all of a sudden now it's like, all right, put your dukes up. That's kind of like the
right.
where superhero movies
So
lose
that's
you
why
sometimes.
a good writer has to tap into the mythology and the representation of Superman, not the literalness of it's going to make him fall apart. But as long as if you're a talented writer, you can capture the reader's imagination or the movie viewer's imagination through the way you um, compose your story and hit the right beats, or you capture you make them suspend belief, and capture insert the ideal of Superman, and then you can tell the stories that don't make any sense and make them feel like they make sense.
Right. Then we have one last thing that I want to do with you, Keith, and before we leave today. Like I said, I want to remind everybody of my sponsors real quick. If you guys like coffee, our sponsor for Fireside Chats is mestizo.coffee, mestizo.coffee. Top shelf Mexican flow, single origin organic coffee, the same kind of high quality coffee that you would get at any store, Starbucks, but it's made by Latinos in Los Angeles, single origin. All the companies that they work are fair trade, fair fades, as it said, handcrafted blends, fruity, neon chocolate. They got the Black Love, Route 66, the Colombian Origin 420. They also have a cool line of hoodies and other paraphernalia for anything to do with coffee. Look, they got a Kofi. They got the Kobe.
Kobe there.
the Kobe right there. They got the. This is the one that I'm drinking right now. The 420 in one single origin certified fair fades made with organic funk. It's basically just a cool coffee company, and they are a sponsor of the program. So go to mestizo.coffee, use the code Big Chief. Code Big Chief, you'll get 10% off any order as well as any merchandise that you have. All my followers, thank you very much for tuning in today. If you want to learn more about us and the company, go to 2amburrito.com. You can learn about myself, my partner Brian, and how we started 2AM Burrito. We've been making movies for the last 10 years. You can watch our reels. You can hear about our stories, and you can even go on our filmography and check out some of our films that we've made in the past, from sci-fi comedy to action drama, rom-coms, and other kinds of stuff that we've made. So just for our followers, anybody listening, go to 2amburrito.com so you can find out more about us. And remember, Black Comic Book Day coming up this weekend in San Diego. If you're in LA, if you're anywhere in Southern California, go down to the World Beat Center February 19th and 20th, 10 to 6 p.m. Completely free day. Panels on both days: Black women in comics, how to get into the comic industry and how to publish your comics. Go check out Mr. Keithan Jones from Kid Comics, the Power Knights, and support their cause. But Keithan, you love hip hop and you do love basketball, and I know you love your Lakers. So I had to do one last bracket bit before we go.
Oh wow, this sounds interesting.
Here we're going West Coast legends. I'm going to give you a West Coast rapper and a Laker legend, and you're going to tell me which one of them moves on. Now, you can't use a fight situation here, so
Skills.
you're gonna have to figure out who's got the bigger skills, which one is more important to you as a West Coast rap fan and a Laker fan. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, we got Michael Thompson or Dr. Dre.
Dre.
We got Magic Johnson or E40.
Magic Johnson.
We got LeBron or Tupac. Now, I put LeBron and Pac here because even though LeBron is technically a Laker, Pac is also technically a West Coast rapper, even though he's originally from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So Pac or LeBron?
Pac.
Jerry West or Too Short? The logo versus the pimp.
Shit.
The logo versus the pimp. Did you feel he betrayed you? The Laker. You go with Jerry West. I was about to say, do you feel he betrayed you when he went to go work for the Warriors, or you still got love for him? We got the Skyhook, the most unstoppable shot in the history of basketball, versus Ice-T.
Kareem.
West Coast legends. Byron Scott, horrible coach, good player, versus MC8.
I'm gonna still say Scott though. Byron Scott.
Was he a starting two guard or was he six man for the Showtime Lakers? He was starting, right?
I think he was starting. Yeah.
We got Elgin Baylor versus the two Macs, Mac 10, Mac Dre.
Shit.
2-for-1 special.
Elgin is slightly bigger. Slightly more impactful.
Elgin?
Yeah.
Michael Cooper or Cube?
Cube.
Cube's gone off the deep end a little bit in some of his stuff recently, but he's still an icon. Derek Fisher or Snoop?
Snoop.
Robert Horry or YG?
YG.
James Worthy or Exhibit?
Shit. Worthy.
Kobe or The Game?
Kobe.
AC Green or Eazy-E?
Eazy-E.
Wilt or Warren G?
Wilt.
Shaq or Schoolboy Q?
Shaq.
I know you can't see this bottom one because you're covered. Paul Gasol or Kendrick?
Kendrick.
All right. And then starting from the bottom up, now we have, let me show you this one so you can actually here so you can see this. All right. We got Shaq or Kendrick?
Kendrick's still early in his career. Shaq.
I think he was probably. I liked his performance probably best out of everybody in the halftime show.
Did
I think
you?
a lot of people. Yeah, I think he did. Shaq. Shaq is a beast though. Easy versus Wilt. Easy's a fucking legend. But so is Wilt. But so
Wilt.
Wilt put up numbers in many categories of that.
You know what? They probably have the same body count.
And Easy, yeah.
You know what? I'm going Easy because
He's just a legend.
I think he took more chances.
James Worthy or Kobe Bean?
Kobe.
Snoop or YG?
Snoop.
Elgin or Cube?
Cube.
Kareem or Scott?
Kareem.
Pac or Jerry?
Pac.
Dre or Magic? This could have been the final. I don't know how they got stuck in the second round. Dre or Magic?
Dre. No. Wait. Fuck.
Dr. Dre, still Dre. I know it's fresh in your mind. Let me ask you this: are you excited about the Showtime Lakers series?
Hell yeah. And I love the writer of it.
Adam McKay, right?
No.
Wait, I thought it was Adam
He
McKay.
one of the writers?
I don't know if he's one of the producers.
No. I'm having a brain fart. I hate this. But he's the writer of the comic Philadelphia.
Mm.
Jeez Louise. Maybe you can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
He also wrote the Wu-Tang series, some of the Wu-Tang series.
Yeah, John C. Reilly's playing Jerry Buss. Adam McKay is the producer who did Don't Look Up and Step Brothers.
Mhm.
Based on the book Showtime Magic, Kareem Riley and the LA Lakers.
What's his name?
Max Bornstein, Rodney Barnes writing, Jim Heck.
Rodney Barnes.
Rodney Barnes.
That's my man. Seems like everything he touches is excellent.
The question remains: Dr. Dre, Magic Johnson.
No,
This is
Dre's
tough.
such an icon, and he's so responsible. The current landscape of where hip hop is, and all of these icons, but Magic Johnson. If you were
Magic
just a basketball player, I would give it to Dre. But Magic Johnson is what he's done in the business world is up there, especially for LA and what he represents for LA.
He's also part owner of the Dodgers, right?
Part owner of the Dodgers. But I am a hip hop kid.
Dre put M on, put 50 on.
No, I mean he's the soundtrack to everything.
Snoop.
Mm.
Although I did think that part in the NWA movie was kind of corny, where the ending where Suge was like, "Hey Dre, what you gonna call this bullshit ass label?" He's like,
"Oh yeah,
Aftermath." I was like, "Come on."
But Dre then those headphones was another game changer because nobody was thinking about headphones, stylizing headphones the way they did. The beat.
No, I mean, he made so much money on beats. How much did he sell beats for? Like $500 million, right?
Something. No.
But then, was that true though? What was the thing they were saying that one of his daughters was driving for Uber?
It was $3 billion. Wasn't it $3 billion?
It was a bunch of money.
Apple bought it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll say Dre.
Drake. I mean, honestly, I don't know how I put them this close together, but it could have been a final matchup right there. All right, we're moving on here. Magic Johnson is an icon, but Dre is also an icon. Dre and Pac.
Yeah, interesting, huh? That those two came. Oh, Pac left an imprint on a generation of people. And still relevant to this day.
Pac would have won an Oscar at least.
And but Pac and Dre worked together. I mean, it's not the two of them.
Yeah, he worked together then until he turned on him at the end. But I think that's because he was riding with Suge and he sort of had to.
Yeah, that was a Suge thing.
He was like, Suge's like, yeah, you got to diss Dre on this track. All right, fuck it. You're the one paying the bills. You
I'm
bailed
going
me
with.
out of jail.
I don't want to, because Pac is more than the music, what he represented though. There's the political side, there's the Black empowerment side that's very important. And Dre wasn't so much about, even though they made stuff like F the Police and all the stuff, their stuff was political, but Pac his words seemed to carry way more weight. Seemed to be more insightful. God damn it!
I remind you again, bracket bit is created as a science experiment to cause maximum pain in my guest. You gonna go Pac? They love me long time like Tupac at Shella. Was that what Kendrick said? Kareem or Cube? Now Ice Cube did make a bunch of those corny ass movies. Are we there yet? And
but the awesomeness of that is that Cube is making those movies. Like to go from NWA to making family movies, and
he went from No Vaseline to Are we there yet?
That's amazing. In the basketball league he created, and so he's just
he went from like one of the best
like
rappers
Magic
of all
Johnson
time.
In that respect.
Yeah.
But then Kareem is so cerebral, and so he's on it when it comes to social issues and
social issues. No contest. Kareem was you can put Kareem up there with Ali.
Right. And then he was part of that summit they had. Well, since we already got Pac, I'll put Kareem in.
All right. There you go. Now we got another major LA battle. We got Snoop or Kobe. This is a tough bracket. This is a tough fucking bracket. I'm gonna tell you this. Because I was looking for the top.
The day Snoop passes, it's gonna be the same thing, bro.
Fuck. And I mean, you see the New York Post put out an article with those pictures of Snoop smoking before the concert, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "This just in. Water is wet." Also,
right.
Snoop Dogg has a person on staff whose job it is to roll blunts for him, and he pays this man $50,000 a year to hang out with him and roll blunts.
I just saw one of his new videos for the new album release where he's just driving around LA. He just filmed himself driving around LA, and he's smoking while he's driving. He's in this Impala, and he's smoking right there, and the cops are right there waving at him. They're they're one lane over in their police cruiser, waving at him.
Come on, man. Snoop can smoke anywhere anywhere he wants. I'm pretty sure they let Snoop smoke on fucking airplanes.
Oh man, Snoop or Kobe? Well, god damn it, jeez.
We're going on 1 year.
Kobe
Recently is 1 year.
Kobe in his profession is on a higher level than Snoop. So
that's tough to do.
So I'll give it to Kobe Bryant.
Because I was walking around in 1995 talking about I had my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and I was like, Snoop is one of the smoothest cats out there. But Kobe Kobe's a legend.
Remember when Deep Cover came out?
Yeah.
I mean, the moment you heard him for the first time, you were blown away just by his voice. You're like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah. The only comparable one where first time you heard them, I think East Coast would be like Big Pun, because you heard Big Pun's like his wordplay was, or somebody like Big L or something like that, where it was just like mesmerizing, But yeah, you heard Snoop.
You had the wordplay. What I think that gives Snoop the edge over a lot of MCs is his actual voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what like captured. There's rappers who have a voice that transcends even the lyrics, and that Snoop is one. Another one would probably be Slick Rick, DMX.
DMX, I was about to say.
And there's one
Jada
other,
too.
huh?
Jada's like that too.
Jada, yeah, they have that. It's like a singer, a singer. Like you have like, of course you're a rapper. Listen to your voice. You know what I mean? It's
And we got
equivalent to Shaq. Like, can you see Shaq working down at the grocery store? Like, of course he's Shaq. Of course he's a center on the Lakers.
we also got and we're moving on to Easy versus Shaq, but you also have to remember Shaq did have the Shaq Fu album, and he was on he did come out on the was he on the Scenario remix, right? Or was he on the
Yep,
Fushnikins?
Yep. Shaq was dope. He actually could rap. He actually made some good sounding music.
I'm just saying, if he beats Easy, he got to.
On this,
Easy, one of the
Easy.
You going with Easy? Easy
Yeah.
over Shaq. We got legends. You can't go wrong with these final four. Magic got knocked out in the second round, but it was by Dre. Dre got knocked out, but it was by Pac.
Yeah.
Cube got dropped by Kareem. Snoop and got knocked out by Kobe, and Shaq got knocked out by Eazy. So West Coast legends, you have picked 2 rappers and 2 basketball players have moved on to the final 4. So symmetry is in effect here. But you are down to your final 4, and we have on one side Pac. Sorry, I keep saying Pac. Tupac. Tupacalypse now. Or
Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar. My favorite Pac song has got to be. What's my favorite Pac song? Still Breathing. Breathing is one of his Last Motherfucker Breathing is a good song. I love I guess I don't know. Machiavelli album is a beast. Strictly is also amazing. I don't know. I think Pac would have a fucking Oscar by now. He'd maybe directing movies. He'd be doing like a mix of what Cube and all these other people are doing.
I can't believe you didn't have Biggie on this list.
Well, it's Biggie's not a West Coast legend.
Oh, okay. My bad. That's right.
These are Lakers versus West Coast rap gods. Or
Kareem versus Pac. Well, Pac was had more impact on my life than Kareem. On me, on my personal life, and I feel like my generation.
it's your bracket, so we're moving Pac along. And on the other side, we got Kobe and Easy.
Kobe.
So we got your Laker life, and we got your hip
The
hop.
funny thing is, people said Kobe used to look like Pac when he had the fro, that era, his fro era. Like he had similar features.
I could see it. I could see Kobe being. I could see Kobe. I could see that. They all sort of got like the small faces and the. But obviously, Kobe's on a 6'6" frame.
Right.
I don't know if Pac had a jump shot.
But Kobe's from our generation. He's our same age group, so we're all like, and Pac is my exact same age. So I just feel like there's a synergy there. There's a connected tissue there. For Pac, people always say Pac was unique, and he was, but at the same time, Pac wasn't really saying anything the rest of us wasn't saying. He just had the platform to say it because we were all feeling the same way. We all had that same anger that he was expressing in those late 90s years. I just think Pac just had the fortitude or the balls or whatever you want to call it to actually say it out loud.
I had when I was going to high school in I think it was 95 or 96, but Pac was locked up in Rikers when Pac was in Rikers, or when he was upstate. He was in New York for a minute. But I had I don't know if it wasn't a friend, he was just this guy that came to our high school that had just gotten out of jail, and he had been in Rikers with Pac, and he's like, "Yeah, I was locked up with Pac." I was like, "What the fuck's Pac doing?" He's like, "He's just writing." He's just in there writing. When he comes out, he's about to blow this shit up. Like he was getting his shit ready to come out hard. And I was like, all right. And then he came out and he fucking landed in LA. And 2 days later, he was dropping shit.
Right.
Burning every bridge he could.
Yeah. He's definitely a complicated individual because most of what we saw was on screen, and some of that was performance, but
But
I'm gonna put Pac over Kobe because Pac wasn't following Kobe, but Kobe was mimicking Pac. You know what I mean? So
okay.
I gotta give it to Pac because to this day, Pac, the bad and the good still reverberates to this day, like his whole swag, man, and the stuff he was saying and saying at an early age, like he was articulating it at a high level. If you ever see some of his interviews,
Mhm.
like everything he was saying is still relevant to what's going on today. And even Kendrick did a mock interview with him on his last album or the album before his last, one of those albums. I don't know if you heard, but he did this mock interview. They set it up where it sounded like Kendrick was interviewing Tupac on the album, and he would answer them. But it was obviously this was pre-recorded on Pac's end. But they set it up to make it feel like it was a live interview and they were in the same room.
One thing I recently heard about Pac, which was, and I don't know if it's a criticism, but they were comparing it sort of to, and I don't feel this way because I would never compare these two rappers, but they were sort of comparing them a little bit to like Takashi in that, like in the end when Pac was running with Suge and he was running with a bunch of gang members, you know, Pac wasn't that guy. I mean, he right, he
He
was
didn't grow up in it.
he didn't grow up in it. He was taking it and he was using them as his backup, and he was sort of, and they were down to have him roll with them because he was always I'm assuming funding the operation, which is similar to what they say about this kid, that was, running with, a bunch of bloods in New York, and he got kind of cut up with it. And obviously ultimately Pac really started to live that life because he gets into fights, and obviously that
But
brings
see,
about his
the
demise.
whole thing with Takashi and his whole generation as it pertains to Pac, the way they look at Pac is they see the imagery, they see the bandana, they see the gunplay, they see all the bravado and all the shit talking, right? And so they see it as like they're watching a movie. To them, it's theatrics. To them, it's like it looks cool, so I want to do it. Tupac was real shit. Those real emotions. That was there. You remember, man, in the '90s, hip hop was a real movement. It was a real. We were. I mean, it was a real movement. Like I was really learning about myself through the music. Like without Public Enemy is what made me interested in Malcolm X. Public Enemy was the one that made me hit me to Marcus Garvey and the Friends civil rights um, icons that went beyond Martin Luther King. It was Public Enemy that made me pay attention to that stuff because they weren't teaching it in schools. So it was the music, man, and then that led to Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul and the whole Afrocentric. We all started wearing the medallions and the Malcolm X caps and African print in the early '90s.
Zulu Nation stuff.
Yeah, that was from hip hop. So Takashi and this generation that's out now, they don't represent none of that shit. All they represent is selfishness and bling and showing money stacks and all this other goofy stuff that they do all day long because
The money phone.
yeah, because they just haven't matured to the point where they can speak on anything more in depth, because there's nothing, they're not influenced by anything in depth, you ask them, who were you listening to when you were growing up? Oh, 50 Cent, G Unit, Lil Wayne, you know, that stuff sounded good, but it wasn't particularly deep. So you know what
I feel you.
I mean? Like it wasn't really. It was that stuff was more. It's more imagery than actual about more than about the struggle. I mean,
I
listen to
feel
something like Ghetto Boys. My mind's playing tricks on me. That's a masterpiece set of lyrics. My mind's playing tricks on me. Listen to that song.
Halloween fell on the weekend.
It's
Robbing
crazy.
little kids for their bags. Hey, it happens, man.
Hmm.
No,
But
man.
they
If I
do
would have,
it. They don't. But they do it in an artistic, metaphorical way. It's not just surface level stuff. That's what I love about Jay-Z. People always talking about how lyrical Eminem is, and he is lyrical. But you're gonna be dissecting Jay-Z stuff till you're dead. Like I'm still catching stuff I didn't catch when I was younger from listening to some of his. I was like, oh snap. Those kind of moments still happen listening to his stuff.
What did I see about Jay-Z when they were talking about? They said feeling it off of Reasonable Doubt was about masturbation, and then I went back and I listened to it, and I was like, "What?" He said there has a whole verse in there when he's like, "I get the home," or he's talking about, and I was like, "What do you mean?" I don't know, something. I don't know. The one
I
thing I
mean,
don't like.
even some of the more simple stuff that everybody's heard of, like when he says, "I'm not just a businessman, I'm a business man."
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And a lot of people didn't. That first time they first heard it, they probably didn't catch all of that.
I think Freeway wrote this line for him, but in one song with Freeway and he said, what is it? He said, "Bullets whiz by you like Louisiana, man." And I was like, all right, that's dope. The one criticism of Jay-Z, and I think Pac would roll over in his grave if he heard Jay-Z's version of me and my girlfriend. Because
Oh,
me and my girlfriend by Pac is one of the hardest. If you're talking about songs about guns, Nas obviously
yeah,
is I'm a gun, but me and my girlfriend was one of the best. Tupac's version was just a gangster ass song about
right.
about his gun, and then Jay Z remixes it with Beyonce, and it's actually about his girlfriend.
Right, right,
And so
right, right.
that's the one thing that I'll criticize Jay on. He's a
Yeah,
businessman.
he's not perfect. He's had some missteps and some stuff.
No,
I remember I
absolutely,
used
man.
to. I remember when he first hit the scene. I didn't like Jay because I felt like he was trying to take the crown before he deserved it.
Yeah,
And
and he
so
was he was.
I was partial to. I was back at that time. I was still partial to Biggie and Pac. And I was like, who? I'm like, Jay-Z, you better fall back, bro.
I was always Team Nas. Well, I'm from Queens, so I was always Team Nas anyway. But
Mhm.
but on that side, I do think that. I mean, Jay
Nas
Z's.
is
Jay Z's.
another brilliant, brilliant, brilliant MC. Like
Did you
his
see the? Did you see the? There's a short section of an interview with Snoop that's like on Instagram and TikTok where Snoop is telling the story about Pac and Nas running into each other at a music studio, and I guess the story goes he's like so Nas Pac's like Pac had just talked shit about Nas on a song,
Mhm.
and then Pac was like, "I talk shit about all of you." He's like, "If you love me, don't respond." And Pac was like, and Nas was like, "I love you, man. I'm not gonna say shit. You're my boy. Nothing." Boom. And Snoop Dogg was there, and I guess Nas doesn't put a lot of his gangster on the street, but Nas is from fucking Queensbridge, and he's got a lot of gangs that back him up. And Snoop was like, Pac was acting like he punked Nas, but in reality, Nas gave them a pass.
Mhm.
Like Pac was talking all this bravado, like I talk shit about Nas. He talked shit about everybody. He talked shit about Nas, Mobb Deep, everybody. And Snoop was basically saying that Pac came at Nas like, "See, I punked you. Don't say shit." And Nas was like, "Nah, I love you, man. I ain't saying nothing back to you. I'm not going to respond at all."
I think Pac was just he there's a very self-destructive side to him. And like you were talking about earlier with the whole gang affiliation, like he wasn't a gangster. He didn't grow up in that. He entered the game late, and that's probably what got him killed. You know what I mean? Like just thinking you can go whoop on somebody and there's going to be no repercussion because you're Tupac.
Yeah, that was a big. I mean,
They like
obviously,
LA, like New York has D boys, right? They have dope, they have drug dealers, and their New York is about money, bro. They know their money. They're at the financial capital of the world. They make money. But the West Coast, the real game bangers are in the West. They grew up in it. They have generations of it, and it's not funny to them if you set trip and wear the wrong colors in the wrong set of part of town. Like they take it serious. Whereas in New York, when I heard about Bloods and Crips in New York, I was like, what?
yeah.
But to them, it was more like a fashion statement. It was just a cool look. And I think that's what got Biggie killed because after Pac died, immediately there was retaliation for Biggie, right? On Biggie. the blowback, and Puffy making the decision to have Biggie that soon to go to the West Coast to California to promote his new album. I was like, I remember vividly thinking, what the fuck are you doing out here? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
And these dudes aren't serious. And sure enough, he ended up getting killed in California. They didn't. I don't think Puffy and Biggie understood how serious the gang culture is out here. It's not
No,
to
yeah.
be played with. It's like
I grew up in New York. Obviously, when I came out here, I had to really realize how big of a part it played in everyday life and society, and how the cultures were a lot more mixed in New York and over here. Prison culture really makes it so that people are separated inside of prison, and also that extends out to the street as well. So
mhm.
it was a big adjustment, having to adjust to all the things that are more important out here than on the East Coast, for sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
you gotta respect it.
well, Mr. Keithan, we talked about pretty much everything under the sun. We talked about Black Comix Day. We talked about hip hop, basketball. We did 2 bracket bits. And we're at 2.5 hours, man. So I'm gonna let you. Dude, I appreciate it, and I wrote down some notes. I'm gonna take some clips from this and post them over the next couple of days with you talking about the event and stuff, so you can put it out there for promotions. I'm gonna try to make it out there. The podcast, the audio only version, will be available tomorrow, so that you can share that as well. The video will be on demand, available as well, so you can share it as well. And I want everybody that we didn't get a lot of interaction, but we did have a lot of people stopping by here once in a while, and I do appreciate everybody that's tuned in, that's part of it, that's listening to the podcast. The Fireside Chat podcast, recording live Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I'm also doing a new podcast with my co-host Sophia that's more focused on news and culture from a Latinx perspective, called Mi Gente. So I'm doing that as well. But I do want to thank you, Keithan, for coming on, brother. I wish you nothing but luck in the event. I wish you nothing but health moving forward, because so that hopefully you can be around to help guide the new generation and to have much success here in your later years with your projects.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, I'm gonna be. Go ahead, sir.
Nah, go ahead.
No. I'm going to be back in 30 seconds to say goodbye properly. I want to thank everybody that's listened today and that's watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, leave a comment. 2am Burrito, the 2am Burrito podcast, Fireside Chats. I am Big Chief Burrito. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere you go. Thank you very much. Peace out.